Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967, when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93, when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Very good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're live on talkSPORT this morning. So exclusively live on talkSPORT tonight, we've got Aston Villa's trip to Arsenal. It's first against third. Is this a must-win game for the Gunners? And Villa fans, is tonight the night you show you are truly title contenders? 03717223344. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest are considering a formal complaint to the PGMO after they believe a decision went against them in the Manchester City game. What do clubs want to achieve by doing this? And games can't really be re-refereed, can they? Plus, should sports people be able to express themselves to maintain their individuality? Will Antoine Semenyo really be the difference in Manchester City's title challenge? And has Gianni Infantino justified the World Cup ticket prices? It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and we're live on talkSPORT. And if you want, you can watch the show as well as listen to it. It's on the talkSPORT TV app. If you want to download that for your Samsung, your LG, your Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. It's absolutely everywhere. So if you want to download it, you can watch the show right the way through. We are back.
We are.
And Alex Crook is here. Yesterday, called a club with £1 billion stadium irrelevant. What is coming today? Will it be Unai Emery's tactical masterclasses being just Spanish for parking the bus? Will he have a go at tea and biscuits? What is it? What's on your agenda today?
Tea and biscuit. I'm not a fan of tea and biscuits.
I knew it.
Not really my style, but no, I'm in a good mood. I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed my game at Millwall last night. Real ding-dong affair. Millwall against Bristol City, bit of needle because the two managers had a bit of a fallout when they met just a few weeks ago. And, and Millwall, really good. And Watford won again, by the way. We mentioned them yesterday.
Six
They're into the
unbeaten
top
now.
6, yeah.
Yeah, under Javi Gracia. We'll do a review of all the EFL action from last night. Coventry losing against Ipswich Town with Adrian Clark around about 10:45 this morning. Big game tonight, though, is definitely Arsenal against Aston Villa. How far will it go in deciding the title race? Is this the night, Villa fans, that your team turn up and announce themselves as title contenders? 03717 223344. Arsenal have won all 5 matches in the last few weeks, including 3 in the league, since they lost to Aston Villa, actually, on Saturday, December 6th. And I thought that was a really tight match, really tactical match, a brilliant football match. Are we expecting a similar sort of game tonight?
I don't know, I as I said yesterday, I just have this feeling that Aston Villa's luck might run out. And I know Villa fans are going to batter me for saying, well, you can't win so many games in a row just by luck. And I do agree with that. But I just sense that Arsenal, if they play as well as they did for the first hour against Brighton, obviously Villa have got some issues. No Matty Cash due to suspension is a big loss. No Kamara either. I think it could be Arsenal who send out a statement, because I was looking at their form and we're all saying, well, City are coming up on the rouse. Arsenal are panicking a bit. Since the end of August, when they lost at Liverpool to that Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, they've lost 1 game in all competitions, and that was that Villa game that you've mentioned. So, yeah, I think Arsenal could send out a statement. I think they're going to win, and I think they might win more convincingly than a lot of people expect.
03717 223344. You can text us 81089 as well. A win for Arsenal would see them get a little bit of revenge from the game at the beginning of the month. When these two sides met, Villa won the match courtesy of a very, very late goal, 95th minute strike from Emi Buendia, and it was absolute chaos in the box. And Mikel Arteta has admitted that revenge is on his mind a little bit.
Well, that's what we want, that every opponent that comes here suffers, and that we are as dominant as we were today again for the majority of the game. And against Villa, we have a really tough match. We know their level, what they are doing, but beautiful game as well to prepare and play. I have a few ideas and things that the things that we have to do better, and it was quite cruel as well the way we lost it, but yeah, we learn from it.
Villa arrive on an 11-game winning streak. Gabriel's making his comeback. He came off the bench at the weekend, could be available from the start tonight. Arsenal have conceded the fewest goals in the Premier League this season. Emery's got an unbeaten run away at the Emirates, which is absolutely we'll add a little bit of spice, but it's also so annoying for Mikel Arteta that he keeps coming up with ways to sort of put a spanner in his works. There's no Boubacar Kamara, no Matty Cash tonight for Aston Villa, as we mentioned earlier on. But I just wonder whether or not this is the evening that Arsenal have to win in order to keep Villa at bay and stop Manchester City from going top on New Year's Day. And all of a sudden, if that happens, it changes the whole narrative about the Premier League.
It's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it, with Arsenal, the team that play first this time. Obviously, at the weekend, it was Manchester City, went to Forest, got that late victory. And I did ask Mikel Arteta after they beaten Brighton, did that put a bit of extra pressure on? Because it certainly seemed to, in terms of the crowd. He didn't really nibble. But it is an opportunity, isn't it, for Arsenal, as you say, to put more distance between them and Villa, and also to open up a 5-point gap on Manchester City before they have their own tricky game away at Sunderland, where, of course, Sunderland yet to lose at home this season.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting you said if Arsenal play as well as they did in the first 60 minutes of the game against Brighton, then they'll win the game. Well, actually, Chelsea played superbly for 60 minutes against Aston Villa on Saturday, and still Aston Villa won. That's just the habit that Aston Villa are in right now, and it's a good habit to be in, but can they keep it going?
Yeah, they've got incredible belief in that dressing room. You don't win as many games in a row as they have without that belief. Momentum is behind them. But again, I'll go back to it. I think at some point, your luck is going to run out, because Chelsea should have put the game away in that first hour. They had more than enough chances.
He did really well to change it, didn't he?
He did.
And he's really good at doing that, as he did in the game at Villa Park against Arsenal, where he makes those subtle changes which have big maximum outcomes.
But that was a very different game. That was a much more even contest than what we saw at Stamford Bridge for the first hour. So I'd put more of that on Chelsea's inability to put teams to bed than I would necessarily on Unai Emery and a tactical masterclass. Yes, he did well, but his team should have already been down and out by the time he made those changes.
Yeah, 03717 223344 is the number to call. You can't call it luck, though, when it's happening every week, can you? You can't say that it's down to the other team when Aston Villa are doing this every time they go out on the pitch. If you go back to it, it wasn't luck that they beat Bournemouth 4-0. It wasn't luck that they came back and beat Leeds United 2-1. Was it luck that they got over the line against Wolverhampton Wanderers with that Boubacar Kamara strike from the edge of the area? Was it luck that they came back twice against Brighton and won 4-3 away from home?
Listen, I don't want this to turn into a Villa beating session. I think Unai Emery has done a remarkable job, not just from where they were when he took over, but from where they were 5 games into the season. But I still can't entertain the idea of Aston Villa being title contenders because we had that XG table yesterday, didn't we? They're massively overperforming in terms of that. They've picked up, 18 points from losing positions this season. Yeah. I don't think you can keep doing that for a whole year.
03717223344. Unai Emery has been speaking in the build-up to the game. They'll go level on points with Arsenal with a win tonight. But he is not having any talk about the title.
To speak about the title not make sense for us. Now, in December, in 27 tomorrow. For me, not make sense. Of course, we are motivated, we are excited, but for the moment we are momentum, and for the match we are going to play tomorrow. And with 3 points difference between them and us. This is our motivation. But if we are thinking the day 38, the life is passing. We are not enjoying. How we are performing, of course, is something we are really feeling proud of everything we are building. Tactically, mentally, individually, and try to feel inside as a family, everybody. We are spending more time here than with family. But each match, the next challenge is tomorrow very difficult. The most difficult maybe challenge we can face now because it's the best team.
Is Emery right to sort of dampen the expectations down around his side? If you go back to last year, and just as Chelsea got into the title race and looked as if they were going to give Liverpool a run for their money, Enzo Maresca came out and did exactly the same thing, sort of saying, no, we're not ready for this now. Although he hasn't really said that. He's just sort of put a time frame on it and said, oh, the season doesn't end now. And he's right. It's only halfway through after this evening. But do managers only really tend to do this when they think that their squad actually is capable of something? Or is there a chance that by saying to everybody, we're not in the title race, he can almost damage the confidence of the players that are in the dressing room? I suppose it depends on the characters that are in there.
No, I think what he's doing is he's taking the pressure off his team. And there is no pressure on Aston Villa in many ways, because if they finish in the top 4 this season, that will be another terrific campaign. They've given themselves clear daylight, even to the likes of Chelsea. And I think by saying, look, let's just assess it 4 or 5 games to the end of the season, he's putting all the pressure on Arsenal and Manchester City, and that's where it should be, because none of us had Villa down as title contenders at the start of the season. I think it's going to be really interesting when the transfer window reopens next week, if he'll get the same backing he got a year ago when they were trying to get into the Champions League. I'm not sure they are going to be particularly lavish spenders this time around, which means you need everybody to stay fit and stay suspension-free. I do think Matty Cash's absence is quite key tonight. He's had a brilliant campaign so far. When we spoke on the show about Villa yesterday, a lot of Villa fans were messaging us, telling us that they could win the title, and actually having a go at you and me to say, you keep playing us down. You keep. But I don't know why they get offended by that. It's not a criticism of your team. Again, if I was an Aston Villa fan, I'd be quite happy for my team to keep going under the radar, keep picking up results, and everybody talk about Arsenal and Manchester City. Let's see what they think today. 03717223344 is tonight the night that you announce yourself as title contenders. Do Arsenal have to win tonight? Otherwise, is it going to be meltdown again? Because if they don't win, Manchester City have the chance to go top on New Year's Day. 03717223344. We've got live coverage of the game tonight, 8:15, Arsenal against Aston Villa from the Premier League. The former England captain Stuart Pearce will be alongside me. And Adrian Durham tonight. We're on air from 7 o'clock. And remember, we've got a choice of listening across the network tonight. Every single game that is being played in the Premier League tonight. Burnley, Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Everton, West Ham, Brighton, Manchester United, Wolves, and Arsenal against Aston Villa is available on the talkSPORT app. You're listening to Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. And next we'll be taking your calls on tonight's massive game. It's exclusively live on talkSPORT. It's Arsenal against Aston Villa.
Welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it! Oh! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface. Can Aston Villa win the Premier League? Is tonight's game a must-win game for Arsenal? 03717 223344. Jack is an Aston Villa fan. Hello, mate.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, we're good, thank you, Jack. We're really excited about this game tonight. I can't wait to get there. 8:15 kickoff live on talkSPORT. What do you think the outcome's going to be? And do you think that you can beat the mighty Arsenal away from home? Because you've got a good record there.
Well, yeah, I think we can. We'll beat them. We've been underestimated so far in the season. People point to XG, the expected points table, which, yeah, it's not a great look, but I think the tactical context needs to be applied, where, you know, we're asked to take long shots, so obviously they're going to be low XG chances. We're not accumulating expected points in that sense, but we're not playing great at the moment. We didn't really play great against Chelsea, but we've got a top manager, so I think we've got the measure of Arsenal. I think we'll beat them.
So what do you say to those people who say, hold on, you can't go to Stamford Bridge, 60 minutes, basically have 25% possession and expect to keep coming back and winning games?
I think they have a point, because obviously you can't score without possession, but when a team's keeping the ball for possession's sake and they're not actually doing a whole lot with it, what's the point in keeping possession? We might as well sit back, let them have the ball, tire themselves out, and then we'll stick on substitutes at 60 minutes and take the game to them.
You're breaking up a little bit there, but we got the point. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. Enjoy the game tonight. 03717 223344. Good morning. Great show as always. Can we all go back to not talking about Aston Villa and let the limelight be on Arsenal and Manchester City? Villa are in a great position and better as underdogs, just how we like it. I'll be happy with the draw tonight. All the pressure on Arsenal. That's from Mark Ahmed, who's a Aston Villa fan. Actually, a draw doesn't really help Arsenal, I don't think. I think they have to win tonight.
Because you're banking on Manchester City to go to Sunderland and win tomorrow?
Well, I think if they draw, it gives Manchester City an even bigger carrot when they go to Sunderland on Thursday night, because it means that they can go top of the pile because they've got a greater goal difference.
Yeah, and this is what's going to be so intriguing for the rest of the season, that scoreboard pressure that you have the opportunity to apply. As I say, I was in the Arsenal press room at the weekend when Forest equalised and the place was absolutely buzzing at that stage. And if City had dropped points and Arsenal had won the game, obviously it would have been a massive advantage. So, I don't know, if you were Mikel Arteta or Pep Guardiola, would you rather be playing first or second this midweek? Obviously, City have got the extra time to recuperate, the extra 24 hours to prepare for their game, but they know they could be 5 points behind by the time they kick off.
I definitely would want to play first. Get it on the scoreboard, done. Say, go on then, now you have a go, see what you can do. The problem is, obviously, if you let yourself down and don't post 3 points. They've got the harder game, there's no doubt about it, Aston Villa, although I don't think Sunderland away is that easy. I think if Arsenal win, there's every chance that Manchester City drop points on Thursday night. But
So
I
the
think
only
if
thing I would
Arsenal
say-
drop points, that
City will
gives Man City such motivation that they will then go on and try and get the job done, or have greater motivation to get the job done.
I think this is just about as good a time to go to Sunderland with all the absentees due to AFCON. Obviously, they got a 0-0 draw at Brighton. They drew at home to Leeds at the
They were
weekend.
second best.
I was going to say the common consensus was that Leeds were the better team. So if Leeds were the better team, there's every chance Manchester City can go there and be the better team. I actually think City will win.
Yeah, the atmosphere will be a bit different, I think, on Thursday night, though. Let's not forget Villa were in the same position 2 years ago. They finished 23 points off the top at the end of the season. Arsenal will win comfortably tonight, says Adam. 81089 on the text. You can get involved via WhatsApp as well as 03717 223344. Matthew Howard says Arsenal will have to rely on actually scoring goals themselves rather than own goals tonight. 4 of their last 6 have been own goals. Yes, it's true. Arsenal can't keep relying on lucky deflections all year. I suppose that's the other side of the narrative, isn't it? You know, we're talking about Aston Villa and their XG and how they don't have, they're overperforming on that particular metric. But Arsenal have relied on own goals quite a lot to get them over the line.
Yeah, is it 3 of the last 4 or 4 of the last 5 home goals have been own goals? And we talked about what Villa might do tactically. I think we both believe that Ollie Watkins, with his record against Arsenal, the fact he scored twice the weekend, will come in. Who leads the line for Arsenal? Because it was another underwhelming performance from Victor Gyökeres. And I just wonder, in this game, against the team third in the table, is it made for Gabriel Jesus to try and ask more questions of that Aston Villa defence? Because I think his mobility is more of a handful at this moment in time than Gyökeres.
Possibly. He's looked really sharp, I think, since coming back, but he hasn't looked... and he has had a bit of a goal threat. Obviously, he made the goal against Wolverhampton Wanderers with that...
He's never going to be prolific, is he?
He's not going to score loads and loads of goals. Ollie Watkins, who usually does score loads of goals, hasn't scored too many this season, but he has scored against Arsenal regularly. I think he's got more goals against Arsenal than he has against anybody else. It's his boyhood club as well. He's an Arsenal supporter. And guess what today is?
His birthday?
Ollie Watkins' 30th birthday.
Yeah. Oof. What career he's had, by the way. It goes under the radar. Again, this is the beauty of the pyramid and the EFL. He obviously made his name at Exeter. He scored in the European Championship semi-final. He scored bags of goals in the Premier League. It's a brilliant story that maybe doesn't get the publicity it deserves.
Gave me one of my best moments as an England commentator when he scored that goal against Holland in the European Championship semi-final. It was absolutely off the scale. It was brilliant. Fantastic.
And me as a fan behind the goal watching
it was brilliant. It was just absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
One of England's most iconic goals, arguably.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No doubt. I mean, that changed everything, didn't it, at that moment? Because I think we were heading for extra time. We were all a bit worried about it. I'd started to think about what I was going to say in extra time. All of a sudden, there he was. And we were going home. It was unbelievable. It was brilliant.
He seems such a good guy as well, Ollie Watkins.
He won't say it as well, by the way.
Very humble.
He won't say it. He'll never admit it. But I do have video evidence of when that goal went in, even McCoy's giving a little fist pump. I swear I saw it.
We need that on the YouTube.
I think I've got
that on the YouTube.
I think it's out there. I think it's out there in the ether, no doubt about that. Jay's an Arsenal fan. Hello.
Hi, guys. How are we doing? Great show.
We're good, thank you, mate. Greetings of the season to you. What do you want from your team tonight? Do you have to win?
I think, yes, we do have to win, but I think a big part of us to kick on for the rest of the season and actually get over the line is kind of what Liverpool have done and get another attacker to challenge Gyökeres to up his game. I know we've got Jesus, but I just don't think Jesus is going to hit the type of form and fitness in time. So
you've got Kai Havertz to come back at some point as well. And I think actually when he does come back, if he's fully fit, I think he's ahead of the other two in the pecking order.
But I see Havertz really just sitting behind those. I know, Odegaard's got that position, but I don't see Havertz as... Okay, we used him because needs must at the time, but I don't see him as an out-and-out striker. I don't see him going to bag you 15 to 20 goals to help you get over the line. Whereas someone who's got a bit more guile about them, I think would get you over the line.
Okay, Jay.
Got anything in the pipeline, Cookie?
Well, hold on. Let's hear from Mikel Arteta because he has been talking about exactly this, the possibility of more signings in January.
Depending, as I said, on the availability of certain players. So the window is there. I mean, we're Arsenal and we have to be looking at it. Okay, what do we need? And we have to be actively looking. And then can we do it or not? That's a different story. But our job is to be always very prepared because something can happen. So hopefully very positive. We assess every situation. I leave that much more to Andrea to understand what's happening in the market, and then the individual players, obviously, we have to assess where we are with each of them and get the best situation.
Jay, having attended a lot of manager press conferences and done a lot of interviews with managers, let me tell you, that is about as much pressure a manager will put on a sporting director as you can get. He is basically telling the club, we need more in January. So it looks like they might well dip in.
Is there anything else on Crookie's radar that's come across that Arsenal may be interested in that might give us a little bit of excitement or hope?
No, not massively. Obviously, there were a few suggestions that they were one of the clubs interested in Antoine Semenyo. That was very quickly played down to me because obviously they're well stocked in the wide areas, and certainly he hasn't been on their radar. So, yeah, no, I'm not expecting Arsenal to do a lot of business, but Sam's right. That is quite intriguing from Mikel Arteta to sort of put the ball very much in Andrea Berta's court.
They spent 250 million quid in the summer. They brought in 8 new players, but those players were not signed for when the squad became depleted. And when it is, maybe he feels he needs just that little bit extra more. So with so much at stake, would it be remiss of the club not to cover all bases?
Absolutely. And listen, Arsenal are a brilliant run football club. They will already have a plan in place for the summer, let alone this January transfer window. They'll be assessing the market, but I'm not sure where the options are to significantly improve this squad, particularly when you are back at full kilter, when everybody is fit, because you've got Ethan Nwaneri, who's not playing many minutes, maybe will be allowed to leave on loan in January. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think he's going to stay in the building, but again, he's only started 1 Premier League game all season, so maybe at the top end of the pitch, but then does that undermine Gyökeres if you bring in another striker? I think it'll be a quiet window for Arsenal.
Interesting. Jay, does that satisfy?
Well, let's hope we can do it with what we got then, I guess.
Well, Mikel Arteta wants more, so you never know. He might get his way. Good luck tonight. Might see you at the Emirates. I'll be there tonight, 8:15. We're kicking off. We've got live commentary on talkSPORT. We'll talk about Gyökeres in just a second because there's been a bit of advice from Gary Lineker about his movement and whether or not he is making the right ones when the ball comes into the box. We'll also look at why Villa are unhappy that they're playing Arsenal twice before the halfway stage of the season. And Nottingham Forest are considering complaining to the PGMO. By the way, congratulations to our old friends Jane Torville and Christopher Dean.
Yeah.
Sir Christopher Dean.
Fantastic. Long time coming.
Dame Jane Torville, who got gongs in the New Year's honours list.
Yep, congratulations to them. As I say, long time overdue in many ways. And who knows, maybe that might encourage them to bring back Dancing on Ice for one more series.
You want to go back and do it again, do you?
One more payday.
1984 Olympic champions, which they were better known as, not just our pals on Dancing on Ice. Right, okay. I'll be back in just a few moments. This is talkSPORT.
It's not often you associate fan power with Chelsea Football Club, but one of the shining examples of it lies with a group called the Chelsea Pitch Owners. And they've proved to be the thorn in the side of owners past and present who've been dead set on moving stadiums to a larger, more lucrative piece of land. Essentially, the supporters group holds the freehold to the land on which Stamford Bridge sits. Former owner Ken Bates set it up at a time where some unruly property developers tried to evict the club from their ground. In order to prevent this, he established the CPO as a company that owned the pitch and offered the fans the chance to buy a share for £100. As well as that, they also own the rights to the name Chelsea Football Club, so if any owner wants to take them elsewhere, they can't be called Chelsea without the approval from the CPO. Now, in 2011, Roman Abramovich tried and failed to move them away from Stamford Bridge, and this has set a precedent for Todd Bowley and the current power brokers at Chelsea. They know any plan which involves moving from Stamford Bridge will require CPO approval from the now 13,000 fans who own it. There are fans who are concerned that if they stay at the bridge, they'll be left behind their domestic and European rivals who are moving to more commercially successful stadiums. But for the heritage and history lovers, Stamford Bridge is one of the iconic English stadiums, and to move away would be a grave mistake. It might not be as flashy as others, but stadiums like it have something about them that cannot be replaced. One thing's for sure, if Bowley wants to take Chelsea away from their home, he'll have to go through the CPO first.
It is talkSPORT. All this talk about Aston Villa and us having a low XG, says Steve. Does that matter? It's the results that matter. And right now, it's all about results. These statistics that you keep throwing out like a lamppost to a drunk. All right to lean on, but not very enlightening. I love that, Steve. He's in Sutton Coldfield this morning. Alan said, good morning, gents. Love the show, especially when you two are together. Hinge and bracket. Crookie, Gay to Arsenal in January. It's happening, mate.
Not one that I've heard. I mean, where would he fit in when everybody's fit? I think he's terrific, Mark Gay. Again, against Tottenham, even though they lost the game, he was absolutely sensational. But I think he's going to want to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to play week in, week out. And with the greatest respect in the world, is he really going to get past Saliba and Gabriel when they're at full pelt?
Good morning, gents. Great show. And today for Forest, we need to go 4-4-2, long ball over the top, solid defence, and for the fans to get behind us as always. I'm listening always because I'm a big, huge Forest fan. Come on, you Reds, says Charlie. He's a Nottingham Forest fan. They've won 6 and lost 4 of the last 10 in all competitions. Nottingham Forest, tonight at the City Ground, they take on Everton. It's live on the talkSPORT app if you want to listen to that. Igor Jesus, 7 goals for Forest, but only 1 in the Premier League. Did get an assist against Manchester City, though, and held the ball up okay later on in the game. Strikers in sharp focus tonight with Ollie Watkins and Victor Gyökeres, both coming up against each other in the big game between Arsenal and Aston Villa. The former England striker Gary Lineker has advised Victor Gyökeres to copy Dominic Calvert-Lewin and gamble on where the ball arrives inside the penalty box. I mean, listen, I think it's quite interesting, actually, because I spoke to Gary for a podcast that we did here about 5 years ago, the Upfront podcast, and he was all about this, you know, the idea that the best strikers in the world, they don't just arrive where they see the ball going. What they do is anticipate where the ball is going to be delivered, and they get there ahead of the defender. The defender is the one who has to wait and see where it's going because he doesn't know. You train with that guy on the right wing every single day. You know where he puts the ball, so you've got to get there before anybody else. And I think, actually, over time, Gyökeres and other strikers that have just arrived at their football clubs will learn the movements of their teammates and be able to react to those a little bit faster than the defenders that they're up against.
Yeah, it was a big criticism that I used to label at Rasmus Højlund when he was at Manchester United, particularly in that Europa League final, that it was easy to mark because he would always be attaching himself to defenders rather than just anticipating getting into the space where the ball might arrive. I think it's a confidence thing. You know, when you're flying, you take that chance. You think, well, this is my ball. It's going to fall on a sixpence. I'm going to put it in the back of the net. When you're not firing in from all cylinders, I think strikers do have a tendency to go hiding and therefore not make the runs they should be. And there is a little bit of that about Victor Gyökeres at the moment. The other issue I've got with him, and I made this point with Troy Deeney when we were on air at the Emirates on Saturday, is that he seems to want to smash the ball at every opportunity. There was one chance he had in the second half, tight angle. He's absolutely levered it. It's bounced off the Brighton goalkeeper Verbruggen and away to safety. I think sometimes as a centre-forward, you need a bit more subtlety to your game. You don't have to try and knock the living daylights out of every chance you get.
He missed a couple of good chances against Brighton at the weekend. 7 goals, though, this season. He's still the top scorer for Arsenal. But his only goal since coming back from injury is that penalty against Everton. I think he needs a big night, doesn't he? He needs one of those nights where he does something that changes the course of the title race. If he was to score the winner tonight from open play,
it'd be massive.
It would be huge for him and Arsenal.
Yeah, and you sort of thought he had that moment in the Champions League game against Atletico Madrid when he scored a couple of goals, and you thought, right, this is going to be the moment that sparks him into gear now. And obviously he got injured soon after, and that really derailed his progress. He just doesn't look to me as someone who's going to come up with the big goals in the big games. I think he'll score against the lesser lights in the Premier League, as actually his CV in Portugal suggested. But when it comes to that match-winning moment, I'm just not sure he's the guy.
So, how many games in a Premier League season for each team?
38.
How many is the halfway stage?
19.
Right, so what game is it tonight?
19.
Right, so why are Arsenal playing
Yeah.
Aston Villa again before we get to the second half of the season? Unai Emery's not happy about it. In fact, he's spoken out against his side having to face Arsenal for a second time at the halfway stage.
The only thing I don't understand is why we are playing before Arsenal than Nottingham Forest at home, because the day 19 is against Nottingham Forest, finishing the first half of the season. But this is the only thing I don't understand. Another circumstances of the decision not in our hands, of course, we must accept it and keep going.
Villa's Director of Football Operations, Damien Videgani, has also replied to this on X. He said, I totally understand our manager why the Premier League brings a match day from the second half of the season before match day 19 has not got a clear explanation. I asked 2 Premier League people and they didn't tell us, so it is a mystery. The fact is that, willing or not, this makes more convenient fixtures for certain clubs that are not travelling on this very busy Christmas period. I'll let you take a look at which clubs are playing at home both last and next match. Arsenal. To make us play 2 away games in less than 72 hours will never be an excuse, but we agree that this is much better on the recovery side to play twice at home and not travel. We are not, for sure, as it is obvious, having any influence. It would be a disgrace if the fixtures became a political territory.
Wow.
Really? I mean, does it matter? Does it matter?
I think it does to an extent.
Does it? Why?
Yeah, well, because they've got to travel twice in such a short space of time.
Where are they travelling to?
Well, only to London, obviously, but it's still travel time. Tottenham don't leave London, I don't think, throughout this festive period because they've got Brentford tomorrow night. Obviously, they were at Crystal Palace at the weekend. They'll have a home game after that, so they've certainly lucked in. And not only have they got to travel twice, Aston Villa, 2 tough away games, isn't it? Chelsea and Arsenal back to back. I'm sure they would have much preferred to play Forest at home in between those 2 fixtures. And you look at Manchester United, for example, on the other side of the coin, no travelling, 2 home games, and they play Wolves home and away twice in the space of 3 weeks. I mean, that is just about the dream scenario, isn't it?
It's the quirk of the fixture calendar.
It is, and actually...
Go to the end of January when they're playing the last game in the Europa League,
yeah,
and they've got games against Brentford, Brighton and Leeds. They've got 4 games at home in 5 matches, Aston Villa.
But it does seem more fitting if you've played everybody once before you play a second team twice. Do you have the reason for that? Do you know the explanation? What would the Premier League say?
It always happens like that, doesn't it? You know, there's always a quirk of the calendar. You don't ever get set 18 fixtures and then another 18 fixtures. It just doesn't work like that.
I can understand Villa's complaints. And actually, we were with an Arsenal fan yesterday afternoon, and he was complaining about the fact they've got to play Aston Villa twice in 3 weeks. And I said,
He was, wasn't he?
but at the start of the season, before we knew that Villa were going to be so good, you wouldn't have necessarily complained about that.
Actually, the first complaint I heard about this fixture schedule was from him.
Yeah.
He was moaning about it, saying that
he was ahead of the curve. He was there before Unai Emery.
He was. And one of the things I'll say about it is that clubs do put in requests, right? So it might be that they say, OK, so ahead of the last round of Champions League games, we don't want an away game. Or after the last round of Champions League games, we don't want an away game. They may say that over Easter, we don't want to travel. Or they might say that beginning of the season, we want a home game or whatever. They'll put requests into the fixture calendar and then it goes into a computer. The computer sort of does it and then they sort of manipulate it around. It's not completely computer generated. There is obviously input from humans, but it is about as random as you can get once you take it. You know, like when you do your work request, when you've got a schedule at work, okay? You stick in a request. You might not get it, but you ask for it. I'd like a late shift on this day, for example. That's what tends to happen. So that influences where some of the fixtures go as well.
Yeah, and actually local events influence it, don't they?
Absolutely,
if there's,
yeah.
A carnival or an air show, Bournemouth air show, they can't play at home that weekend. So there is a lot to it, but it would just I don't know, be more synced up if they played everybody once before playing.
Everyone's doing
twice.
it. Everyone, whatever your fixture was on the opening day of the season, you are having it the reverse tonight. The first week in December. You're having the reverse tonight. Everyone's doing it.
And it was the same in the Championship as well, wasn't it? Because obviously I mentioned Millwall, Bristol City playing twice in 3 weeks.
Everyone's doing it. It's just the way it is. Just this year's a bit quirky.
Should he have said it, Unai Emery? Does it give the players an excuse if they're a little bit fatigued and a bit below par tonight?
There you go. I'll tell you this. This is the fourth time that Aston Villa have faced an opponent twice in the same month in the Premier League since after May 2022, 2021, 1996. It's happened 3 times before to Aston Villa. It just happens every now and again. It's just a quirk of the fixture list. Don't panic about it. It's not the end of the world. You've got to play everyone if you want to be title contenders.
That's also true.
You don't want to be moaning about having to play Arsenal twice if you want to be title contenders.
Well, he won't be moaning if they beat them twice, will he?
No. Which is an eminent possibility if they continue their run. You're not 100%.
You haven't given your prediction. I've stuck my neck out. I said I think Arsenal will win.
I think it'll be an entertaining game.
Who's going to win?
Arsenal will win tonight.
There you go.
I actually think that Arsenal will win tonight because I believe that the return of Gabriel is a massive thing. I think that Boubacar Kamara and Matty Cash being out is huge. And the game that I went to at Villa Park was so tight. It was decided by such fine margins. And it was just that chaotic moment at the end where Aston Villa come good. And that's what they're really good at, by the way. So don't rule them out. There's every chance that they can do damage tonight. But I think that Arsenal at home might just have just that little bit more.
They've got a formidable record at the Emirates as well, haven't they?
8:15 tonight, live on talkSPORT. It's Aston Villa away at Arsenal. When we come back, we're looking at the Championship.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. Been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
$26K for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Yes, there's every chance that you could be a winner of £26,000 if you enter our big competition. All you have to do is text WIN to 83338 and you could be in with a shout of winning £26,000 for 2026. We're looking forward to a big, massive year and we want you to get involved. Text costs just £2.50 plus your standard message rate. You can call 0343 423 9761 for your chance to win. Text WIN to 83338. Lines close at 12 o'clock on Friday, the 9th of January 2026. And that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's apply. And they're available at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Now, good luck. Crook's just had a massive meltdown, by the way. Lucy, who works on the show, has just gone and got us a coffee, which is absolutely fantastic. Lucy, wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And she's come back and was talking to me about the coffee shop. And the lady at the coffee shop was talking about her work pattern and that the Starbucks was open on Christmas Day. And Crook was absolutely furious about this. Furious about this because we then told him that the Starbucks was really busy that day. And he said, why are people in a coffee shop on Christmas Day and not in the pub? This country has gone to hell.
Honestly, there's a lot of issues in this country at the moment, but that's right up there for me. A, the fact the coffee shop is open. B, the fact that people are actually using it and not going to support their local. Come on, guys. Be better.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Adrian Clark, definitely not a coffee shop man. Former Arsenal Southend. Actually, he's more of an artisan latte guy rather than a pint of stout guy. He's our TalkSport EFL pundit and he joins us now. Hi, Adrian, how are you?
Good morning, Sam. Morning, Crookie. Yeah, look, I was in the pub on Christmas Day.
Good man.
I get the seal of Crook approval. I like it.
Crikey. If that's what you want, you're in massive trouble. League leaders Coventry lost 2-0 at home to Ipswich last night. It was a tight game, wasn't it? 2 goals in the second half. But Ipswich taking points off Coventry at home. And it's the first time that Frank Lampard has lost a home game this season.
Yeah. Real blow, isn't it, for Coventry City? I don't think they could have any complaints. Ipswich had the better chances in the game. They've doubled Coventry now because it was only a few weeks ago they beat them at Portman Road.
Yeah.
I think but for the goalkeeper, who's excellent, Carl Rushworth, it could have been even worse, really, for Coventry. So you just wonder, don't you, what the psychological damage might be? I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine, but that lead is 10 points now because they're only really interested in the gap between themselves and third Coventry, aren't they? Because promotion's the name of the game. It's 10 points now. So I think the bigger concern for Frank is they've stopped scoring goals. 6 games in a row now where they've either got none or one. And Coventry were getting 3s and 4s for fun earlier on this season. So they've got to get back into that groove.
You're right about Rushworth, and actually I wrote about him in my notebook a few weeks ago that the FA are taking serious notice. I don't think he'll make the squad for the World Cup, but I think they see him certainly as a future full England international.
Our friends at Brighton have been big on him for quite a while.
But they've got an interesting scenario, Brighton, because
they've got an unbelievable plethora of great goalkeepers.
But they wanted him to sign a new contract before going out on loan. He refused to do so. So he goes back there at the end of the season. I know Coventry would like to keep him if they go up. I don't think he'll sign a new contract at Brighton unless he's guaranteed to be number one. You've put me on the spot there, but certainly they want to give him a long-term deal. And I think he sees himself as someone who can be a Premier League number
Absolutely.
one.
I think he's got a big future, and I think everyone thinks that as well. One of the things you mentioned there was about keeping the gap between first and third as big as possible if you're Frank Lampard. But at Middlesbrough themselves, they're the ones that maybe Ipswich are targeting after losing 1-0 to Hull last night.
For sure, yeah. Look, Kim Helberg got off to an absolute flyer, didn't he? He sort of changed the style of football. The fans were loving him. And suddenly, 3 blanks in a row for Middlesbrough in terms of not scoring any goals. They got beat 1-0 at home to Hull last night. So they're the ones, I think, that are looking over their shoulders. And to be honest, I think if they're ambitious, if they really, really want to push for a top 2 spot, they've got to invest in a striker in January, because that's the miss. They're pretty solid at the back. They've got Hackney in midfield, who's terrific. Morgan Whittaker as well. Up front, there's not a lot happening. So let's see how ambitious Borough are in the coming weeks.
What about the other end of the table, Adrian? An incredible victory for Portsmouth last night. They thought they'd thrown it away in stoppage time. And there's a brilliant video of the Charlton fans goading the home supporters, saying we never lose at Fratton Park. They hadn't for 20 years. And literally mid-song, the ball goes in the back of the net at the other end. They lose 2-1, which is a brilliant win for Portsmouth in terms of keeping them out of the bottom 3. But Charlton, after an excellent start to life in the Championship, they are dropping like a stone, aren't they?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, they've lost 7 of their last 9 games, Charlton. So, they're the ones that are sort of getting drawn in. It's just, are Oxford or Norwich good enough to bridge that gap? Look, Charlton are really solid under Nathan Jones usually, but they've started to leak goals in recent weeks. They've had issues up front as well with injuries to their key forwards. It'd be interesting to see whether the guy at Walsall, Daniel Kanu, gets recalled, because he's been on fire for them. And they've not been scoring enough goals. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, look, a big win for Pompey. And that viral video, I'd urge anyone to watch it, because it is very, very funny.
It's brilliant. We're lucky enough to be in quite a lot of Portsmouth group chats, and it was going off last night because everyone was furious that Yang had given away a stupid free kick, which then led to the Charlton equaliser. Yeah. And then just moments later, Yang's the hero as he scores the winner in the game. I mean, the roller coaster of emotions was absolutely brilliant. The group chats were just going off. It was brilliant.
I can imagine, yeah. But look, Pompey unbeaten in 4 now, so
yes,
they're starting to get a little bit of momentum.
He's doing a great job, John Massinio, because
he's a good manager. His job should be
by no means the best budget in the division. If he keeps them up, that's another brilliant achievement.
Big game against Southampton coming up at the end of the month as well, which we're looking forward to.
Well, their wheels are off a little bit, aren't they? They're struggling to win. Who'd have thought you appoint the caretaker manager on a permanent basis and results start to take a downward turn?
You actually said that's what happens if you appoint the PE teacher yesterday.
Listen, for me, they didn't do a proper recruitment process. You know, they didn't interview multiple candidates. And there's loads of examples, Adrian, isn't there, where a caretaker manager comes in, and just because he's not the previous manager, my understanding is that Will Still wasn't particularly popular with the players.
Right.
They turn it on for a few weeks, and then actually they revert to
that says more about the players than
probably.
Probably else, to be honest with you.
I think so. Yeah, they probably a little bit like Leicester. They need to have a bit of a clear out. There's too many players in both those dressing rooms that have been associated with bad habits, poor standards. I think for both those two teams to progress, or clubs, they need to have a proper clear out as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm with Crookie. The moment they appointed him on a permanent basis, you just knew that results would tail off a little bit. It always happens.
Marty Cifuentes, happy to get back to winning ways yesterday. Here he is.
First of all, the effort and the mentality that the guys showed, because I think we started the game really well. Then it was a pity to concede that early, immediately, and I think that they show resilience, they show character, and yeah, I think it was a very strong first half. Pleased for the bench impact as well. I think all the guys jumping from the bench did a really good job and helping us to secure the 3 points, and especially in the say today the fans were outstanding. Help us. It was a good atmosphere from the beginning. Yeah, they help us in the difficult parts of the second half, and I'm so pleased for them.
He's been under pressure, and after 2 straight defeats, he needed that victory, didn't he, Adrian?
Massively. Look, Leicester fans are not happy at all. He referenced them there. Look, they've not won more than 2 games in a row all season. So this is Leicester in the Championship have to be at the top end, don't they? They just simply have to be. The squad is good. I know that they lack a proper striker. I know they've got issues with some of the defenders, but some of the names in that squad are top drawer. The wingers are fantastic. Jordan James, you got the winner, really nice winner actually on the volley. He's a top player. They should be in and around the playoffs. But of course, there's this points penalty, which I don't know why we're still waiting, by the way. I mean, how long has this been hanging over the club?
Well, they're not the only ones that are waiting to be punished for infractions, are they?
This is true. This is true. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, look,
I thought you might have a keen interest in that.
We'll see. But look, Cifuentes needed it big time, as did Ryan Mason at West Bromwich Albion. It was a big night for sort of under pressure managers. And we saw as well Chris Davis sent off, also under pressure at Birmingham. That proper head loss from him. I kind of got it, because I think if a player collides with a ref, it's in the rules that you have to stop the game, right? Yeah, exactly. He didn't. They carried on the move, and Cameron Archer scored the equalising goal. So I got why he was frustrated, but I think
it's actually if the ball collides with the ref that you have to stop the game. But I think you have to stop the game if the referee is incapacitated. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he basically, I think it was Iwata of Birmingham, just collided with the ref. And I think everyone thought they'd stop the game. They didn't. Southampton played on, scored the goal, and David Davis got sent off for his protest.
Listen, thank you very much. Nice to see you. Good luck. I'll probably see you tonight, won't I, at the Emirates Stadium as Arsenal take on Aston Villa. Blackburn-Wrexham, by the way, in the Championship is live on talkSPORT on New Year's Day. Got a massive day of New Year's Day action for you on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Round the Grounds with Adrian Durham at 2:30 after that one's finished. And then, of course, all the Premier League action takes hold at 5:30 that night. You're listening to Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. When we come back, we'll talk about Nottingham Forest complaining to the PGMO.
To succeed, people often say you need to think outside the box. In sports, every now and then someone does just that and comes up with a crazy idea for an exhibition event that nobody else could have dreamt up. Here are some of the most iconic we've ever seen. I mean, what an image. This was the setting for the Battle of the Surfaces in 2007 between Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal. The court in Nadal's home of Mallorca reportedly took 19 days to build and cost £1.2 million. The players had to change their shoes every time they changed ends, and despite some dodgy bits of grass, they slugged out an epic three-setter, won by Nadal. But that's not even the most famous exhibition in tennis, because in 1973, we got the Battle of the Sexes, watched by 50 million people in the US alone. Billie Jean King's victory over Bobby Riggs was not only a landmark event for entertainment value, but also for its impact on the fight for gender equality in sports. I mean, the Battle of the Surfaces never got turned into a movie. Now, imagine a motor race that involved American Indy cars and European F1 cars. Well, that happened twice, back in 1957 and 58. The race of the two worlds took place at Monza and was nicknamed Monzanapolis. Despite legends like Sterling Moss, Phil Hill and Mike Hawthorne racing the F1 cars, the Americans won both years. Fans and the teams loved it, but it didn't make enough money, so got canned. For its cast list alone, though, the greatest exhibition might have to go to the Princess Diana Memorial match at Lord's. Mike Atherton captained a Marylebone Cricket Club side, with Sachin Tendulkar leading a rest of the world 11. Names like Wasim Akram, Zurav Ganguly, Andy Flower and Neil Kumble and Glenn McGrath turned out. The one-dayer, won by the rest of the world by 6 wickets, raised more than £1 million for the Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. Incredible all round.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Hello, very good morning to you. It is Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We're live on talkSPORT. This lunchtime, right the way through till 1 o'clock. I can't believe you had to go at tea and biscuits earlier on today. I mean, Tottenham yesterday, tea and biscuits today. Aston Villa as well. You have a little.
I've never really got the old tea and biscuits thing. You dip your biscuit in, it goes all soggy, and then there's crumbs in your drink.
Well, it's about how long you leave it in for.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah, the problem is you're a little bit sort of, your timing's off, isn't it? You're either a little bit too quick, you want it done straight away.
Well, I'm quite impatient by nature.
You are.
Yeah. So maybe that. Yeah.
Or you leave it in too long and then it just crumbles, and then you just it's just too much for you. You're not very good with that sort of thing. That's not your forte, is it? But you're good at so many other things.
I'm terrible at making tea as well. Infamously, yeah. If Mrs. Crook asks me to make her a cup of tea, it's usually dreadful.
You do that on purpose?
It could be a ploy. I won't lie.
Nottingham Forest have asked for the VAR audio as they consider a formal complaint against the referee, Rob Jones, from Saturday's game against Manchester City. Basically, they're said to be extremely unhappy with a couple of decisions during the match. They've asked the PGMO to check the conversations between the on-pitch officials and the VAR team during key moments of the match. Head coach Sean Dyche felt that Ryan Cherky's 83rd minute winner should have been ruled out for a foul on Morgan Gibbs-White, and that Jones should have shown the City defender Ruben Dias a second yellow card straight after the break. After the game, I spoke to Sean Dyche, and he was pretty forthright about some of those decisions.
Very disappointed, very frustrated actually, more frustrated by the officials' performance today, and as managers we try not to mention it, but it had such an impact on the game today. I'd love to think that you get parity, but I said to the fourth all the way through the game, as long as we get parity, because I cannot fathom VAR at the minute, I'm sure lots of us can't. It's clearly obvious Morgan Gibbs White gets pushed to the floor for no reason at all. So now that's a keeper. Do you think they're going to foul? Of course they give a foul. It always seems that them big clubs get them decisions. I just thought it was bizarre today, and it's such an easy game to referee. It's not no nastiness and that. You know, technical fouls everywhere, but the referee did nothing about it. So I just can't work it out at the minute. I said before very early, I said, OK, no problem. If they're going to let the centre-halves drag all over Igor up front, which they did, of course. I said, that's fine, as long as we get decisions. And sure enough, when a big decision comes, we don't get the decision. I think I would strongly suggest if the shoe's on the other foot, they would get that decision.
That references to the Ruben Diaz incident right at the start of the second half, where he runs across the path of Igor Jesus after Jesus turns and runs in behind him. And he does clip him on the way through. Now, it's been given as a foul and given as a collision, but no second yellow card. Now, Stuart Pearce in commentary at the time says he thought actually that was the right decision, no second yellow card, because there was no intent to it. But actually, when you see the replay from the other side, you see that Diaz purposely looks across to see where he is and then moves in towards him as a result. In which case, I think Sean's got a point there. That could have been a yellow card.
Yes, but it's not really relative in terms of the complaint, is it? Because VAR can't intervene when it comes to yellow card decisions.
No, but that was the first decision that I think he was upset with. The second decision certainly is to do with VAR, which is Ryan Cherky's 83rd minute winner, where he believes that Morgan Gibbs White is being fouled by Nico O'Reilly at the back post, dragged to the floor, and that the goal is scored after Morgan Gibbs White then bounces up and tries to block the shot, but can't because he's bouncing up after being pulled to the ground.
All I would say about that is Morgan Gibbs White doesn't openly seem to be complaining about the fact he's fouled. I'd caveat that by saying if that was a forward player or an attacking player on the goalkeeper, almost certainly the decision goes the goalkeeper's way. So again, I understand Sean's frustration, and I think Ruben Diaz should definitely have been shown a second yellow card. So I think he's got a case on both points.
I don't think he has for the second one.
No?
No, because Nico O'Reilly goes up behind him and holds him, and Morgan Gibbs White locks his arm around the arm of Nico O'Reilly and drags him to the floor.
So 6-1, half dozen to the other.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of 50-50, really. So I'm not sure that VAR would ever overturn that because it's not clear and obvious. Listen, it might be a foul, it might not be. It depends on your point of view. It's a subjective call. But I don't think it's a clear and obvious error that the VAR could overturn the goal for. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to rob the game of goals, and ultimately, if you get involved in that decision, it's a subjective one.
Yeah, the Diaz one is bigger because if they go down,
Diaz one is much bigger.
If they go down to 10 men, Manchester City, it's probably going to be a different outcome. He'd be suspended for Sunderland tomorrow as well, which changes the dynamics of that game. But in answer to the question you posed right at the top of the section, does it really serve any purpose to complain?
That's the real question, isn't it?
I'm not sure it does.
What is the point of making a complaint? Is it because it placates all of your fans and shows that you're on the same side as your supporters and that you're in tune with them because they're frustrated about it? Last week on the show, we discussed David Moyes' criticism and that of Eddie Howe was looking for clarification about how he felt the decisions had gone against his team in a game against Chelsea. He wanted a penalty. In fact, I was then at Manchester United the other night when someone came across and did a shoulder barge. Tonali did a shoulder barge on one of the Manchester United players, and a foul was given against him. And Eddie Howe turned around and went, "Hold on a second."
Well, we said at the time, didn't we, that if that incident happened outside the penalty area, it would be given as a free kick. So I think all these managers have got good cause for complaint. I guess it just highlights the wider issue: is the standard of officiating on par with the quality and the finances involved in the Premier League? I would argue probably not. I think our officials...
I do think we're a little bit sort of hooked up on consistency. I don't think you've ever had consistency of refereeing decisions, ever. If you go back to the early 90s or whatever, and everyone says the golden age of football, whatever, or you remember you didn't see every game and every decision like you do now. There's so many cameras, there's so many televised matches that you see so much more. So you have the resource to be able to compare a decision that happens at the Emirates Stadium and one that happens down at the City Ground. Whereas before, in the 90s, you might be annoyed about a decision that happened at your place, but you hadn't seen all of the decisions.
It was only really the people who were actually at the game.
Exactly. You know, the odd televised game, yes, or even two a week. but you didn't have the same number of decisions being poured over the way we do now. We see so much more football.
But equally, I don't seem to recall, and maybe it's looking back through rose-tinted spectacles, managers coming out with the regularity they are now and complaining about refereeing decisions, which again tells me the standards have slipped.
To be fair, I'd like it if you had some rose-tinted spectacles, because the ones you actually bought, the bulletproofers, are awful. Nottingham Forest against Everton tonight, 7:30. talkSPORT app, commentary from Andrew Self, and that's at 7:30 tonight. One of 10 games this week. Have you got your bulletproofers, by the way, today? Have you got them? Have you shown everyone them?
Well, they've been on social media.
Have they? Yeah, check it out. Yeah, looks like
the wife disagrees with you, and that's more important to me.
Yeah, of course. All right, 2 Ronnies. You're listening to Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse is where the trade go. Next, we'll be taking a look at Ruben Amorim's comments on changing his formation as the Manchester United boss.
And welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it! Oh! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Oh, lots of text messages coming in. Igor Jesus should have been sent off for 2 shocking challenges on Foden and Cherki and then waving an imaginary yellow card. That is true. The referee, which is a yellow card offence, agree with that last bit. Can't have it both ways. Methinks Dyche protesteth too much, says Andrew in Basingstoke. The Ruben Diaz issue, not that I've heard anyone say, is that not just does Diaz glance across at the attacker, which, fair enough, he looks at the guy he's marking. More importantly, Diaz runs away from the path of the ball, exactly, which he'd easily have been first to in order to collide with Jesus. I think it was close to a straight red, actually, but definitely a second yellow, says Akin. I think second yellow, not a straight red. I don't think it was in that territory, but it was definitely, the possibility of a red card was definitely there. Watch the incident again, and you keep saying Nico really is dragged to the floor by Gibbs White. He stays on his feet, and Gibbs White, who is dragged to the floor, Paul Forrest fan in Chepstow. Yeah, but it is because Gibbs White is engaging the contact. He's trying to pull him down. Now, he goes down eventually to make it look like he's been pushed, but that wasn't necessarily the case. I think it was 50-50. I'm not saying that it wasn't a foul. I'm not saying it is a foul, but I think it's a subjective call. And if you have a subjective call like that, VAR is only going to intervene if it is clear and obvious. So, therefore, it wasn't within the remit of the VAR to get involved. And if you listen to the VAR audio, which Sean Dyche has asked for, I reckon that that's what they'll say, that there is no clear and obvious error. That's what they'll say. What about Igor Jesus knee high on Foden going unpunished? Swings and roundabouts, says Alan in Blackburn. Sorry, but I'm not having Sean. The game's too soft these days. Dyche complaining that his side's physicality was met with physicality. You can't win with that, man. Rooney called it right on Match of the Day with the analysis of the Cherki goal. Morgan Gibbs-White actually fouls O'Reilly. There was a reason Pep gave a sarcastic handshake to the ref at full time. Every 50-50 decision went to Forest. There you go.
On the subject of Forest, former Forest player Brennan Johnson, now at Tottenham, of course, top scorer for Spurs last season.
Palace.
Fee agreed, according to our colleague David Ornstein at The Athletic. I'm trying to get clarification of how much. I was told this morning that Spurs were looking for north of £35 million. Now, it's not a completely done deal yet because I think there is anticipation from Spurs that maybe more suitors come to the table, but that's Steve Parish being quite ambitious, isn't it? And maybe answering some of those criticisms at not dipping his hand into his pocket previously.
For Crystal Palace, because I think they need someone like that to add to that attacking battalion, especially with Sarr being away at the AFCON.
It'd be a good move for Johnson as well.
But it's good for Johnson as well. I feel sorry for Brennan because last season he was such a big part of that Europa League success. Obviously, inadvertently scored the winning goal in the game in Bilbao, but he's had hardly any chances to get up to speed this season. Obviously, Kudus coming in just nudges him off of the right wing anyway. I just think it's a good move for Brennan Johnson. Actually, it might be a good move for everybody because clearly Thomas Frank doesn't fancy him as much as Ange Postecoglou did. So it'd be good for him to kick on this season with a different club. And actually, I think the move will suit him. I know that Bournemouth were interested as well, weren't they? At one stage, they sort of had a little flirt.
Yeah, I think the price might be too high for them. They've got some concerns down the road with the change of the financial rules. But obviously, they're going to get £65 million there or thereabouts for Antoine Semenyo, so I do still expect them to be busy.
Do you want to talk about Ruben Amorim and changing his formation?
Well, the producer's desperate for us to...
I know he is. He's absolutely, he's like massive on this. He's like, it's a massive thing, the fact that he's gone to a back four. I think we told you a week ago he was going to back four, didn't we? On this programme?
We did, yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah,
and obviously he did that against Newcastle.
In September, Amorim said, not even the Pope could make him change his system, but there would be an evolution. And now... it's time for it.
When I came here in the last season, I understood that maybe I don't have the players to play well in that system, but was the beginning of the process. We are trying to build an identity. Today is a different moment. We don't have a lot of players. We need to adapt, but they already know that they understand why we are changing. Is not because of the pressure of you guys, of the fans, but then when you talk about changing the system all the time, I cannot change because the players will understand that I'm changing because of you, and I think that is the end for the manager. So when we are playing well in our system, I think that is the moment to change.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, and Ollie, our producer, is right in a sense because Amorim has used various sort of setups of the back five formation for 315 games as a manager without interruption. That's through his time at Braga B, Braga, Sporting, and now Manchester United. So the fact that he pivoted to a 4 is a big deal, I suppose. How can a manager be so defiant and so desperate to retain this system and then all of a sudden just switch it?
Well, listen, I've been crying out for him to change the formation for the best part of his tenure. Troy Deeney sat in that chair and told me that the system is only ever the issue when United are losing, and maybe he's got a point, but it just seemed to me that he has been too stubborn. You commentated that game against Everton, who don't score many goals anyway, don't pose much of an attacking threat. They go down to 10 men, and he still doesn't change from that back three. Mason Mount comes on as a left wing-back. I thought that was really poor from Amorim that night. But I understand why he had to be seen as the overall authority, because this is a dressing room, and I've used the phrase before, where the pupils have been running the classroom for too long. And I think he felt any sign of weakness in terms of bending maybe to the demands of the players who weren't happy in his system, and he would be handing control back to the players again.
But is it a sign of weakness to succumb to that? Or actually is it a sign of strength that he can take on the information of others and decide to alter his approach? Because ultimately he has altered the approach eventually, but he felt he couldn't do it because he didn't want to be seen to giving into the media or giving into the fans or giving into the players. So actually he's waited for another moment and he's done it anyway. So is that strength or weakness? I can't work it out.
I think he had to be seen to be the strong man for the first year. Now, actually, one of the more bizarre comments that he's made recently is that 75% of the decisions he's made have been wrong. And that doesn't sit down very well, because you wonder, could they have won the Europa League final? Had he have been more tactically flexible? I think probably. The system was a problem in Bilbao. Could they have picked up more Premier League points? Almost certainly. I've mentioned Everton already.
I think he's building for the long term, which is why he is not necessarily so worried about changing things in game to get short-term success. He's actually thinking more about the long-term success, and he wants a sustained period of good results rather than the odd win here or there. Might not look great PR-wise, and he is brilliant and bad at PR at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So he talks a lot. He gives you the answers that you want. So you ask him a question, he gives you the answer, which is not always the case when you speak to a football head coach. But sometimes he talks so much that he says these things, like you've just said, 75% of the decisions that I make are wrong, which might be honest.
It's a massive headline, that,
it just generates the wrong sort of coverage.
Yeah, I guess there is an accusation he can be too honest. As a fan, I'd probably wish that sometimes he didn't speak as much, but as a journalist, we absolutely lap it up. And actually, I think he's a very good communicator. But you're right what you're saying. I think he saw it as short-term pain for long-term gain. And actually, the big remit for the Manchester United manager now is to change that culture in the dressing room. Fergie had to do it when he came in, but for different reasons. And obviously, he's had the assurances from boardroom level. So Jim Ratcliffe has said it publicly. He's got a 3-year contract. Let's judge him after that.
How do you see Manchester United's form at the moment?
Fine.
You're happy with it?
Yeah.
Because we've got a producer here who likes to stir things up, and he said it's only 2 wins in 8 prior to beating
It's only
Newcastle.
2 defeats in 12, isn't it?
And I said to him, it was only 2 defeats in 11. He went, yeah, but it's only 2 wins in 8. I went, yeah, but it's only 2 defeats in 11. And that's, I think, what you've got to focus on. And actually, if you use your eyes and watch the games that Manchester United play, you were having a meltdown earlier in the season, weren't you? You were panicking. You were like, oh, get him out of here.
Well, that was after Grimsby,
You were
abomination.
struggling. You were really struggling. I was saying to you earlier in the season, don't worry, I can see that this is going to work. It's starting to click. And if you watch the last 3 or 4 games, they played some brilliant football. The Bournemouth game was terrific, especially going forward. Okay, some of the defensive stuff needs a little bit of work. But they've got no Maguire, no De Ligt at the moment. I can understand that. But their attacking play in the first half against Newcastle, superb.
Yeah, and against Wolves away, although obviously they ended up conceding an annoying goal towards the end of the first half. So I think you're right. Certainly going forward, they're a lot better than they have been for a long time. And there's a bit of a misconception, I think, from rival supporters that Manchester United fans have this sense of entitlement that, you know, they should be up there challenging for trophies.
Well, you don't help that.
No, but my issue is not that they're not winning silverware. My issue is that I want a team that I enjoy watching. And that Everton game against 10 men, I watched it with my 2 lads, as you know, and that was hard to watch.
I was commentating on that.
It was hard to watch. Bournemouth,
that was difficult.
You're frustrated because they could have been outside by half time. They end up drawing 4-4, but it was a brilliant game.
Brilliant game of football.
I had no issues with that. And the same against Newcastle. First half, when Mason Mount was on, I think him going off made a massive difference.
Yeah, he did.
they were the better team.
Yeah.
And they were playing some really good football going forward. That's what you want from Manchester United.
Absolutely.
It's not about challenging for Premier Leagues and Champions League. Those days at the moment.
Well, it is.
Those days at the moment are long gone. Top 6, which is where they are at the moment, would be a massive improvement.
For you, it needs to be top 5 because you made a big bold prediction at the beginning of the season.
Well, I'm not far away. They're joint on points, aren't they, with a 5th place team? And when Chelsea suffer a shock defeat at home to Bournemouth and United beat Wolves, they'll go 5th.
You've already told me that Chelsea are going to win tonight because Bournemouth are missing Lewis Cook. And you've also told me that Manchester United are going to struggle against Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I'm worried about the Wolves game because this is the type of game. Again, this will be a sign, actually, of how much progress has been made, because this is the type of game that comes back to bite Manchester United on the backside.
OK, let's see what happens. Tonight, all the games are live on talkSPORT. From 7:30, we've got Burnley, Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Everton and West Ham, Brighton. And then 8:15, Manchester United, Wolves and Arsenal against Aston Villa. The only place to be is the talkSPORT app. Make sure you're with us. Next, we'll be speaking to BetMGM.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
Breaking news in the last 10 minutes or so, and that is that Brennan Johnson is the subject of a bid from Crystal Palace in the region of around about £35 million. The Tottenham winger sought after in this January transfer window, and Steve Parish maybe getting the first bit of business done and getting it done early. We'll find out. The January transfer window opens on the 1st of January, funnily enough, and Alex Crook will be the man to follow throughout the course of that. Your transfer notebook, your rolling blog. What else have you got going on over the course of January?
Yeah, obviously daily updates, certainly on White and Jordan. I'd imagine breakfast as well, and probably all the shows. It could be quite busy, not necessarily in terms of hundreds of millions being spent, but there's a lot of teams who need to do business, aren't there, for different reasons?
OK, let's catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And I'm delighted to say that Super Charlie Robertson from BetMGM is with us today to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Charlie, good morning to you. Let's look back at the championship from last night. The top two both losing. So what does that do to the odds?
Yeah, morning, gents. Yeah, very eventful night, wasn't it? I know you covered it off with Adrian earlier, guys. Yeah, obviously after their big win away at Coventry, Ipswich, the big movers, they're actually odds on now to finish in the top two at 9 to 10. Well, again, their price is shortened for the title. They're 9 to 2. As for Coventry, guys, yeah, they've still got that 10-point gap, haven't they? So they are very short price to go up automatically 1 to 16, and we still make them a short price at 33 to 10 to win the division. The really interesting sort of battle is who's going to make it into the playoffs. I think bar Middlesbrough, who are 1 to 4, we've got 13 teams at 5 to 1 or shorter. So it really is anyone's guess. However, I'm going to ask Alex Crook to predict that 6 that he thinks might be in those playoffs.
Look at his face, completely panicked when you said that.
I watched the Southampton game last night, and I shouldn't tell my dad this as he's a Southampton fan, but I can't say I was particularly impressed by them. I know they are bar Middlesbrough the shortest side to go up, but Crookie, who do you think are those 6 sides that can make it into the playoffs at the moment?
I agree with you on Southampton. I don't think they've got enough. I'm not entirely convinced by the manager. I think you've got to say, I would say Coventry, Middlesbrough and Ipswich pretty much nailed on. I know Middlesbrough's form has tailed off. I'd like to see Hull do it because our big mate Dean Holden is the assistant manager and we get on very well with the owner.
Forget that. The big mate is Achu,
yeah,
the owner. He took us out on a boat across the Bosphorus and round Istanbul.
So I'm going to put them in there. Bristol City, looked good last night until the final third. So if they can get a striker in this window, then maybe I'm going to say they'll get into the playoffs. And I do think Watford have got the wind behind them now with Javi Grazia's return. So yeah, I'll go Coventry and Ipswich in the top 2. And then Middlesbrough, Hull, Watford and Bristol City in the playoffs.
Wow. You're going to get Millwall out of the playoffs?
Yeah. Not sure they've got quite enough quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got Watford at 7 to 4 to make the playoffs, Bristol City 5 to 2. As I said, Southampton 11 to 10, but yeah, not sure about that. When you said Hull, didn't you, Crookie? They're 2 to 1. So yeah, but it really is. It was one of those leagues, isn't it? You win 3 or 4 games in a row and you shoot up about 5 or 6 spots, so it really is an open race at the moment.
It's a shame for Stoke City that they've dropped so drastically after such a bright start to the season.
It always happens though, don't they? They always get it right, do they?
I always think though that there's always a late runner from the middle of the pack, and because it is so tight, there's every chance that even the likes of, and say it quietly, Wrexham, Queen's Park Rangers, Bristol City we've already mentioned, maybe even Leicester City, if things change there, can go on a run and get themselves into the top 6. And I think Leicester City should be ones we keep our eyes on over the course of January, because if they were to decide to change the manager and they got a little bit of a boost from someone coming in, things could be very, very different. Let's move on to tonight's Premier League action, because there's 6 live and exclusive games on talkSPORT, across the talkSPORT network, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT app. So what are the big prices for tonight?
Yeah, there's, as you mentioned, Sam, plenty of games. I did want to sort of talk about the big one that you'll obviously be at, Sam. I know you guys have covered it off. I'll just quickly run through the odds. Arsenal 11 to 25. They have lost 3 of their last 5 against Villa, so not a great recent record. Unai Emery's side, who just unbelievable form, aren't they? 11 straight wins. They're 6 to 1, and the draw is 19 to 5. I know yesterday, gents, Matt Gibson mentioned he thinks it's a 3-horse race at the moment. I think it is too. I think the form Villa are in, you've got to put them in there. I know you guys do fancy Arsenal tonight, but if Villa did pull off a win, I know they've got a couple of absentees. Would that change your views that it's a 3-horse title race, or do you still think?
Absolutely.
Regardless,
I think if they win tonight, and after beating Chelsea at the weekend, if you ignore them at your peril, absolutely. I don't think they're out of the title race anyway. Yesterday, I turned around and said that I thought that Unai Emery and his tactical adaptability gives them a chance of being contenders. Do I think they'll win it? No. But do I think they'll be involved in it? Yeah, I think they will do. They're aiming for a 4th Premier League double over Arsenal. They did it in 92-93. They did it in 2021. They did it in 23-24. They could do it in 25-26. It is amazing to think that they've won so many games away from home at Arsenal. And they're very good at these tight games, aren't they? 10 of their last 12 wins have come by a 1-goal margin. It means that they control those matches. And even when they're out of control in those matches, they find a way to stay in them, which I think is really impressive.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sam. I think momentum in football is a massive thing, isn't it? And I think, I know Arsenal are an incredibly solid side, but I do think Villa, I can definitely see them getting a draw tonight. A win may be a little bit out of the question, but I can definitely see them getting a draw. But Crookie, what would your thoughts be? A win and title contenders, or still a little bit on the fence on that one?
I think if they win the game, it's a massive statement. I don't think they do win the game tonight. I've been quite strong on Arsenal. I'm prepared to have a lot of egg on my face tomorrow, because not only have I said Arsenal will win, I think they'll win more comfortably than a lot of people are suggesting. But if Villa were to win this and back up what they did against Chelsea, then you have to start taking them seriously. The odds are slowly coming down. They were 25-1 not that long ago, Aston Villa.
Yeah, they're 16s now, and I'd imagine they'll be 10s or probably shorter if they win tonight. But obviously it does depend on how City get on against Sunderland, but that's definitely not an easy game, is it? It's not an easy one for City. So, yeah, I think for the neutral, a 3-horse title race would be great, wouldn't it?
Obviously, the dream result for talkSPORT listeners is for Wolves to beat Manchester United and for Arsenal to lose at Aston Villa, so we can spend the day tomorrow.
I've already preempted a Manchester United
ripping Crook for no other reason than just that. We're only joking. The PDC World Darts Championship kicked off last night with Luke Littler. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Where are we standing now on who's the favourite? I mean, obviously, Luke is usually the biggest favourite out of the lot, but did the sort of crowd reaction to him change anything?
Not really, Sam. He's about 8-13 to win it. He actually knocked out Rob Cross last night, so they've actually only got 9 seeded players left in the draw, which I think is something like a record at the moment. I think there's one guy who's 136th in the world who's still in it. So it feels sort of open, but at the same time, I think if Littler plays his best, he's probably going to win. Just quickly on to tonight, Sam. Some really interesting games. Obviously, the one that stands out is Michael van Gerwen against Gary Anderson, 2 former world champions. Really interesting game. Anderson's the slight favourite of 4-5. I'd actually probably fancy van Gerwen and even money. I think he's slowly coming back into form. I know it's been a bit of a tricky period for him off the hockey, but I think he's coming back into form. And just a quick sort of treble for the listeners. Johnny Clayton, Josh Rock and Luke Humphries plays about even money. That looks a fairly solid bet, Sam. So, some really interesting action tonight. But yeah, it does, as you mentioned, it does feel like Littler's definitely the one to beat if he keeps playing as well as he did. I think he hit 12 180s last night. So, it doesn't show any signs of sort of letting up at the moment.
Charlie, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Liverpool's set-piece coach, Aaron Briggs, is set to leave the club. A bit of breaking news that's just reached us in the last few minutes. Liverpool have got a bit of a problem with set-pieces this season. They've got a -9 in terms of set-piece differential. They've conceded 12 goals from set-pieces. Briggs joined in the summer of 2024, took over set-piece duties exclusively in September. Responsibility now for set-pieces will fall across the remaining coaching staff. Virgil van Dijk said after the Wolves game, actually, the fact is we've conceded too many set-piece goals and we don't score enough. It's something we have to improve. I would say at least 75% of the time or more. It's not even about the first contact. It's about the second phase, and that's the killer. Is that a mental thing? I hope not. If it's in your head, then it's an issue. Interesting.
So Virgil van Dijk's basically got the set-piece coach fired. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not. I'm just telling you what he said. I'm not suggesting that
glowing endorsement
precipitated the removal of Aaron Briggs. However, not coincidence, maybe. I don't know. But Liverpool set-piece coach Aaron Briggs is leave the club after they conceded 12 goals from set pieces this season. This is Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. We're going to be discussing those comments from Luke Littler next.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. I'm taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Well, talkSPORT is already looking forward to an exciting year in 2026, and we're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000 as well. It's 26k for 2026, and here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard message rate. You can also call 0343 423 9761. Lines close today. Lines close at 12 p.m. on Friday, the 9th of January 2026. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only 18 plus. It's a network promotion, and full terms and conditions are available at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, do it now. Pick up your phone, text WIN to 83338, and you could end up with £26,000. Good luck. That fee, by the way, for Brennan Johnson, Crystal Palace have agreed a £35 million fee for Brennan Johnson. Breaking news that we brought you in the last few moments is going to be a record fee paid for a Crystal Palace player. Jeremy Pino, the previous owner of that tag, after he moved in the summer from Spanish football for €30 million, 35 million quid, takes us into club record territory. So Palace agreeing a fee for Brennan Johnson with Tottenham Hotspur.
It's not even January the 1st yet when the window opens, but we've got Manchester City very close to sealing a £65 million move for Antoine Semenyo, £35 million in place now for Brennan Johnson. That's £100 million before the window's even opened.
And interestingly, looks like people are trying to get their business done early. So I think we'll have another one of those windows where we have a flurry at the very beginning, a little lull in the middle, and then a rush towards the end.
Yeah, well, we'll have a rush towards the end in terms of some departures, probably, because obviously you've got the African Cup of Nations, which means Manchester United, for example, I don't think would even entertain the idea of letting Joshua Zirkzee go until the likes of Ahmad and Brian and Mbeumo have come back from that competition.
Safely and without injury. Let's pick out who's been the real deal with Selco Builders Warehouse.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
And our real deal, obviously, is Luke Littler, but he hit out at the crowd in a post-match interview yesterday, and was it ill-advised? The defending champion spoke out against the Ali Pali crowd as he battled past previous winner Rob Cross to reach a quarter-final of the PDC World Darts Championship. Live on talkSPORT last night, Mark Wilson, talkSPORT Darts commentator, joins us now. Hi, Mark.
Hi, boys. How are we doing? Okay?
Yeah, great to see you, mate, and lovely to see the Ali Pali stage in the background as well. What did you make of Luke Littler's comments last night? Because let's have a little listen to what he said to Sky when he first came off the stage. Here it is.
I'm not bothered, really, I'm not bothered. Really not bothered. Can I just say one thing? You guys pay for tickets and you're paying for my prize money, so thank you. Thank you for my money. Thank you for booing me. Thank you. No one wanted me to win, but yes, again, I proved them wrong. It's not in reach just yet. I think you've got to get to the final. I'll enjoy 2 days off, and then I'll be back on New Year's Day. Past 2 years, I've spent New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in London. So yeah, we're doing it again.
Interesting, isn't it? Because this kid is 18 years of age, Mark. You've obviously watched his career go from 0 to 100 in just a millisecond, really. He's already got an MBE to his name. He's already been world champion. He's still a kid. I mean, it's very difficult to know how hard it must be for him to handle these situations. I don't think he was right to mention the prize money, but he hasn't done a lot wrong, has he?
No, so he's had a microphone stuck under his nose after he just played in an epic game. You know, he's averaged nearly 107, produced a miraculous performance, and yet Rob Cross very nearly took him to a deciding set. So his emotions are going to be running high. You know, that interview comes less than a minute after he's won. So maybe he would have toned down his reaction. But he's right. The crowd are paying his wages. They can come and say what they say. I was interested. He's not got a great relationship with the German fans. He gets a lot of stick when he goes to Germany. There were a lot of German fans in. I'd say it was 50-50, right. Germany, England last night. And I'm wondering if it might have been a pocket of them that got after him last night. But we interviewed him on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel after, and he said exactly the same to us. So he wasn't backing down from what he said. You know, if they're going to boo him, they're going to boo him. But I think it took him a little bit by surprise, if I'm honest. And you make the point, you know, rewind just a little over 2 years. And I mean 2 years and a couple of weeks. Barely anyone had heard of this kid. Now everyone in the world knows who Luke Littler is. He is the star. And, well, if you boo him, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, if I'm honest.
Well, it's really interesting that you say maybe it was the German contingent in the crowd, because I did message Ian Dante last night and say, why on earth is Luke Littler being booed, you know, bearing in mind what he's achieved and what he's done for the sport. And he said, well, don't we just love in this country to build someone up and then knock them down? I think it'd be very sad if that was the case. I don't agree that he was booed. I don't necessarily think it's brilliant PR when he starts talking about money, particularly not at a time when a lot of people are struggling out there. So maybe two wrongs don't make a right in this case. But in terms of the match itself, Mark, I did watch the back end of it. It's been quite easy for Luke Littler until this point. Do you think in many ways he needed that last night, that real challenge to get him fully focused for the latter stages?
Absolutely. Perfect. You know, if he was a boxer, we'd be saying it's a perfect warm-up fight, wouldn't it, for what's coming up on New Year's Day. He's got a quarter-final, semi-final and final, hopefully, from his point of view, in front of him. We saw Luke Humphries got pushed really close in his last game as well. So the big names, despite having it quite easy so far, they have been tested, and I think that it stands him in good stead. So, yeah, I think it was a good all-round hit-out for him. It'll be interesting on New Year's Day when he takes the stage here what the reaction is from the fans, but I think it might just be a one-off. But I think with you, I think he needs to keep a lid on it and maybe pick his words more carefully next time.
Why do you think some people believe he is arrogant?
He's not arrogant. I'll tell you that. He's not arrogant. We're lucky. We get to spend a lot of time with him. I cover darts all around the world. I get to speak to him quite a lot. He's not an arrogant young man at all. He's an 18-year-old boy. Probably got a few rough edges on him, if we're honest. You know, he comes from a working-class background. He generally speaks as he feels. He's certainly not arrogant. He's not arrogant. I think that comes, the fact that he's so good, people assume he's arrogant. He's not. He is an elite. We're watching a phenomenal sportsman. He's 18 years of age and he's the best player in the world. And he's the best player by a distance at the minute. And the thing is, we've not reached his ceiling yet. That's the exciting thing. That's what I think we should be focusing on. So he's definitely not arrogant, Sam. I can't stand by and let people say that about him.
No, and I wonder why people think it. And I wonder if it's because of the fact that he has come up so very, very quickly and everybody just loves an underdog. And that's the reason that they want to get on the back of someone who is just so very, very good. He is relentlessly good, right? Okay, so it's very, very difficult to see a time when he is not going to be standing at the Oki winning matches. But it's really sad that we can't just celebrate the fact that this 18-year-old kid is absolutely elite, almost without trying, and he has got such a great ceiling. But I do wonder about this, Mark. It's very different to football, isn't it? Obviously, we all spend a lot of time in football. I know you work in Super League as well and at the darts. And the difference in terms of media management, the idea that someone might just go up to him and say to him, listen, conduct yourself like this, or just do a little bit more of this, just maybe focus on this, like media officers do in football circles after matches when they're bringing players into the mix zone or taking them to the interviewer.
I don't think we want that though, Mark, do we? I mean, I'm going back to Ricky Evans when he gave that bizarre interview after his first round match when he started talking about gravy. I mean, that is part of the allure with this sport, isn't it? That you see the players in their rawest form.
Yeah, I don't think that interview went down particularly well, if I'm honest, with the media department at the PDC. But, you know, we've got a lad today, another young man, 20 years old, Charlie Manby. He's playing Jan van Veen today. Tough game for him. If he wins, right, this is a kid who works on a building site during the year. Yeah. If he wins today, he's going to win £100,000 and he's going to win a professional tour card. His life is going to change. And he's going to get a microphone stuck under his nose if he wins today, and he's going to be expected to give us an eloquent interview. It's going to be fascinating if that does happen. You know, that we're watching people's lives change and we are given instant access. There's going to be mistakes made. There's going to be things said that shouldn't be said. We understand it, but it is part of the sport. You know, it is a working class sport by and large, and people want that reaction instantly, and they get it, and we should be thankful for that. We don't want it sanitising. We don't have to wait half an hour to hear from him. We want to hear it there and then, and if things are said in the heat of the moment, then so be it.
We'll take it. Mark, brilliant. As always, Mark Wilson, who is part of our talkSPORT Darts coverage over on talkSPORT 2. Until we get to the final, it'll be on talkSPORT, but I think it's on the talkSPORT app tonight, I think. Everyone
great in football, by the way. Martin Odegaard scores a 25-yard free kick tonight, comes straight off the pitch and starts talking about the fact he doesn't like gravy. I'm all for it.
Okay. Everyone loves an underdog. That's the reason. Come on, guys. He just needs to laugh it off, says one texter. Luke Littler. He's only fueled the fire. They'll boo louder. And in Pompey, keep your reactions coming. 81089 on the text. You can WhatsApp us 03717 223344. You like gravy, don't you?
I love gravy.
Yeah, especially on a roast dinner.
Extra thick.
Extra thick.
Yeah. I hate watery stuff.
Okay. Don't forget that Mark and the team will be commentating on the afternoon session on the talkSPORT app today, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. The evening session is on the talkSPORT app. That was our pick of the week's Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com. But they don't do gravy.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
Yeah. So what have you made of Luke Littler's comments then? Do you want to react to those? 03717 223344. Was there anything wrong with what he said? Or are we in a situation again where we've got someone who is absolutely superb and all we really want to do is just bring them down? Tell us what you think.
many sporting rivalries that can boast years of history, ferocious tensions and iconic tussles that ignite the fans to their very core. But when it comes to the battle of the mind games and the verbal exchanges in the heat of battles down the decades, the Ashes stands alone. So here are some of the most memorable Ashes housery moments. Few figures in Ashes history were despised by the opposition more than Douglas Jardine. He was the granite-jawed architect of the notorious 1932 Bodyline series, which sent shockwaves through the sport that still reverberate nearly a century later. One day, the hurricane met the tornado as Jardine met Yabba. As the name suggests, Yabba, real name Stephen Harold Gascoigne, was a heckler who became so famous that a statue was made of him. When Jardine was on the boundary swatting away some flies, Yabba yelled the immortal line, "Jardine, leave our flies alone. They're the only friends you've got here." Like Jardine before him, Stuart Broad is another figure who had a particular gift for riling the Aussie public, mainly due to his jaw-dropping survival at Trent Bridge in 2013, when he very visibly nicked off to slip and refused to walk. Broad is somewhat the modern housery king. He officially became a sorcerer in 2023 when his random bail swaps twice bought a wicket with the next ball at the Oval. 3 tests earlier, after that Carey Bairstow run-out, Broad made sure he was right in the thick of the pantomime. Wicketkeeper Ian Healy issued one of the great lines towards Nasser Hussain. When Steve Waugh told Ricky Ponting to field right under Hussain's nose, Healy remarked, "That could be anywhere within a 3-mile radius." Poor Nass. But perhaps the most poetic of sledges came from bowler of lightning bolts Dennis Lillee, about the Yorkshireman of Yorkshiremen, Geoffrey Boycott, about whom Lillee wrote this: "He's the only fellow I've met who fell in love with himself at a young age and has remained faithful ever since." Priceless.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We're talking about Luke Littler. Should sports people be allowed to be themselves? Why not? Why can't? I quite like this era that we're in at the moment where sports people, managers, head coaches just say what they want. It's great. At least we get a little insight into the character.
Yeah,
we've been bemoaning it for years that they're all too media trained, and now they come out and start talking when everyone's having a go at them.
There is another school of thought when it comes to Luke that maybe he just makes it look too easy, and we do love an underdog. And Rob Cross, by the way, I watched the last set of that match. I don't think he could have played any better, and he's still been beaten. And maybe that's the problem. As we were talking about yesterday, he was 1-14 to win that game against a former world champion.
So almost a little bit like, you know, when Manchester United were dominating the landscape, when Liverpool were dominating the landscape, Manchester City latterly dominating the landscape. People just sort of like don't like it because they're winning all the time.
We all have an upset, don't we? When the FA Cup comes around, we're all rooting for the underdog to knock out the Premier League giant. And maybe it's the same in the darting world.
Darren in Colchester says, "Hello, boys. Luke Littler winding up the crowd during the game. Didn't like it when they turned on him."
I didn't see that because I only joined it towards the end, but I mean, it's that kind of sport anyway, isn't it? I saw a tweet from someone saying that darts is pantomime and Luke needed to realise that he was the pantomime villain last night. No more than that, probably.
Sometimes things that darts, you know, just go a little bit awry. Like, you know, you could climb on a table.
Well, when you got thrown out, and
then find yourself thrown down an emergency exit.
That was before darts really took off, by the way. That was one of the early years of the Premier League. I only went to the bar, came back to the table, and you were being frog-marched out by a couple of bouncers.
I wasn't frog-marched, I was thrown. Like, literally picked up and thrown down.
You're not difficult to chuck, are you, to be fair?
Right, OK, we found that out. Anne is a Spurs fan. Hello.
Hi there, morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. What do you want to say about Luke Littler?
Well, I was just watching, obviously, on TV, and I saw about how he was booed. I didn't actually get to watch last night's match. I was out. However, I was just saying, I have come into darts in like the last 3-4 years, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I think that Littler brings such an exciting element to the game of darts, and has, you know, he's someone to aspire to. I know loads of young kids, I'm actually a teacher, who are now getting into darts and like wanting to really practice and do it. So why are people trying to have a go at him? I didn't even realise the Germans had like an issue with him. I don't understand why people want to bring him down.
Do you think that a bit of it is to do with what Alex said about the fact that we like an underdog and he is winning constantly and he's almost impossible to beat? Or do you think actually it's just the atmosphere around the darts is a little bit banterish, it's a bit of back and forth, and that's just what's going to happen?
Well, I mean, I'm not being funny. You've just got to listen to Luke Humphries, haven't you? He said that he wants to up his game to be able to compete with Littler. And it's good for people like those amazing darts players to be able to have someone to really fight against. You know, I think Luke Littler brings he's just got such class when he plays. And I just think last night when he said that about, oh yeah, you pay my money, whatever, he's going to say that because, you know, he feels like, where's the support? You know, he's in
and he's 18.
UK, not in Germany. Why is he being booed?
Yeah, it wasn't a great choice of words for me, but I mean, he must have said 4 times he wasn't bothered, which is a clear indication that he was bothered and maybe slightly taken aback by it, because he has been, certainly in this country, the darling of the darting world for a few years now. It'll be very interesting what happens next time he steps on the hockey, and I hope...
I don't want this to be a thing. I don't want this to be a thing.
Exactly.
I don't want people to be, you know, making him feel bad, making him, you know, like other crowds, like joining in with it. If the German crowds don't like him, you know, go away. Don't watch him.
Anne, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Cheers for your call. And a darts fan giving us a call, 03717223344 if you'd like to do the same. Liam says, if we saw 5,000 people collectively booing one person on their own and he crumbled, we'd call it bullying. So why, when that one person stands up against the thousands, do we get on his back and call him arrogant? Good on him for standing up for himself, says Liam. The people at darts are now not darts fans. They're just drinkers there for a day on the booze, like the modern horse racing fan and boxing. None of them appreciate the skill or art on display, says one texter. Is that partly true, do you think? Or do you think that...
Yeah, I think it's become a drinking event, hasn't it? But again, that is part of the allure. That's why Sky have pumped so much money into it. The prize money is bigger than ever. I think they've done a brilliant job. The PDC creating that carnival atmosphere. People turn up in fancy dress.
It is captivating.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what you were doing on Saturday night, where you were. I think it was Saturday night. I can't actually remember where it was. I think Stephen Bunting was playing Stephen Hurrell. I was sitting watching the last few sets of that game, or the last few legs of that game, and we could not turn it off. All of us sitting on the sofa, putting it on just because we'd finished something else, and then that captivated everybody, not just me, the whole family.
And the atmosphere is a massive part of it. Can you imagine if that was being played in a silent auditorium? It wouldn't be anywhere near the spectacle it is now.
Lewis is on the phone. Hello, mate.
How we doing, boys?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you very much. Lewis is a big Manchester United fan. Are you worried about Wolves tonight like Crookmeister, or are you going to be very confident?
Well, I want to touch on United first, then quickly on Littler, if I can. I'm like Crookie. I am worried. Any game nowadays, home or away, doesn't matter who it is, we could lose or draw. So I am worried about it.
You'll be all right. You'll be fine. Stop worrying about it. Tell me about Luke Littler. What do you think?
Listen, I want to just quickly say to Crookie, I know you seem a lot more pleased than I am, to be honest. I still think we've dropped too many points. Silly games like Everton, West Ham, Bournemouth. You know, we've got to be winning these games if we really want to get in the top 4. Too many drop points because we've got harder games coming up in January, February. So I'm still not sure on Amorim, Alex, and the team, the tactics. Too many goals conceded. No, I'm still disappointed with Amorim and Ineos in their 2-year anniversary. But we'll see how we get on. We might get top 6, top 7, maybe. I thought mid-table, but we'll probably finish a bit higher than that. But look, on Littler, listen, he's been amazing the last 2 years. Unbelievable what he's won. He's the man to beat. It's only really Humphries who's sort of given him any sort of challenge in the last couple of years. But he's going to dominate for probably 20 to 30 years. But I didn't like that last night, that choice of words. Whenever anyone talks about money, that for me is a big turn-off. I know he's a young lad, But he didn't need to say, oh, you know, keep booing, you're paying my prize money, you lot buying your tickets.
Yeah, but he'll learn, won't he? He'll learn. He's only 18 years of age.
I know he was pumped up and he didn't like the crowd booing. He's going to have to get used to it. We saw, you know, prime Phil Taylor days, he got booed by the crowd.
He did, yeah.
Van Gerwen as well, when he was in prime peak, you know, he got booed. This is what happens, you know, the crowd like the underdog, i.e. Rob Cross, and don't forget Rob Cross is from Essex, London area, so, you know, a lot of the crowd in there were going to cheer on Rob Cross, you know. He's going to have to accept it, it's going to happen, and he has to deal with it. He said he wasn't bothered after, of course he was bothered. That reaction when he got the winning double, that reaction was for the crowd. That was to say, yeah, come on then, give me the booing that I've still won. He was sort of having to go back at the crowd, which is fair enough. But he was bothered.
Of course he was. You were going to be bothered at the World Darts Championship, whatever happens, aren't you? Lewis, thank you very much for your call. Appreciate it. 03717223344. Alan, hello.
How we doing? You all right there?
Yeah, we're good, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah, just about a little situation. I'm not sure if anyone knows, but last night there were a lot of Germans within the crowd, hence why he got a bit of stick because of what he said about playing in Germany, and he doesn't like playing in Germany as well. So he got a bit of stick, and I think he's well within his rights to give a bit of banter back. It is just banter. And I mean, the media are just taking it too far. Should he do this? Should he do that? He's well within his rights to have a go back and have a pop.
Cheers, Alan. Thank you very much. George is a Southampton fan, but he wants to talk about the darts. What do you want to say?
I just think it's all been blown out of proportion like the other callers have said. I think we've all said something in the heat of the moment as an 18-year-old you come to live and regret. But as I said, everyone needs a villain in darts. You look at Stephen Bunting, he's been the hero for the last year, 18 months. If you go on the toxic world of Twitter, you'll see how much hate he's got.
Yeah, I saw that the other week, actually. It was a bit strange, that.
And then if the PDC want to look after him as he's the main star, why didn't they get one of his heroes around that have had the same attention at young age? I know he's a big Man U fan, so why don't they try and reach out to Wayne Rooney just to try and give him some pearls of wisdom that he's got?
Cheers, George. Thank you very much. 03717223344. Thank you very much for everyone who's getting in touch with that. Still got quite a lot of calls coming in. The darts returns over on talkSPORT 2 this lunchtime with the evening session on the talkSPORT app. Luke Littler into the final 8 after his victory yesterday. It's day 17 of the World Darts Championship. Darts on the radio. It shouldn't work, but it really does. Ian Danter, Mark Wilson, Chris Mason, the rest of the team, absolutely terrific at bringing you all the flavour from Ali Pally. We haven't done darts together for a long time, have we? We went to Bournemouth a little while ago, didn't we?
Was that when we were sat near Gaza?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, a few years ago now. Well, listen, you got invited, didn't you, by BetMGM to the final?
Yeah, but
of the Premier League. You didn't turn up. Had to take Dean Ashton in your place.
Where was I? I was in. Was I at Frankfurt for a Tottenham game? I think
maybe.
Thursday.
Well, we got the invite again. I understand. I'm off to Brighton with BetMGM, and I think we've got the invite for the O2 as well when the Premier League comes
I want to go
around.
to Manchester actually for once. I need to find out the date for that. So yeah, we'll try and do it this year. But it is a fantastic event. It's great fun. That's what it's all about, and that's why I suppose you don't want to overreact too much about these sort of situations because you want it to be fun. But clearly, if you're Luke Littler or Stephen Bunting, who was quite emotional himself earlier in the tournament when he was getting stick, that you do feel it.
Yeah. But that's part and parcel of the sport now. So, you know, if you don't like the heat, get out of the kitchen. I mean, Gerwyn Price gets it more than anyone else when it comes to World Championships.
This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface Alex Crook. We're here right the way through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll do Crookie's transfer notebook very shortly.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it, Biggs.
Hey, good morning. Oh, it's good afternoon now, isn't it, to you? This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface and the Crookmeister. What are you doing for the rest of the day, by the way?
Well, we're starting Battersea.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're going to check out Battersea Park, and there's been a big redevelopment there, isn't there?
The big Battersea Power Station. Have you been there? You've not been down there yet?
No, I think we're going to head there.
Great. You'll have a great time.
Yeah,
great time. Yeah, you'll have
and then Chelsea tonight. Chelsea Bournemouth this evening.
Ah, interesting stuff. The World Cup will come around quicker than you would imagine in 2026, and Gianni Infantino has been defending the World Cup ticket prices somehow. He has defended the cost of the tickets by saying they reflect the public's demand for next summer's event. Tickets for the group stage are up to 3 times the price of those for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, while the cheapest ticket for the final in New Jersey is £3,119. They did introduce a small number of more affordable tickets, £45 for all 104 matches, following criticism of the pricing structure. Infantino says the money raised through ticket sales will be reinvested in the global game. Well, I'd hope so, because the revenues have gone through the absolute roof. This is him defending the cost of the World Cup tickets.
So I was saying we have 6-7 million tickets on sale, and in 2 weeks, in 15 days, we received 150 million ticket requests. So 10 million ticket requests every single day. This shows how powerful the World Cup is. In 100 years of, almost 100 years of history of the World Cup, FIFA has sold 44 million tickets in total. So in 2 weeks for the next World Cup next year, we could have filled 300 years of World Cups. Imagine that. This is absolutely crazy. And
yeah, okay. Let's talk to Thomas Concannon, who is from the Football Supporters Association. He's their spokesperson. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. I mean, since you last joined us on the 12th of December, they've announced these more affordable tickets, £45. I think they're going to the associations for them to distribute amongst their most ardent supporters. Having heard Infantino there, are you happy about the way they've responded to the criticism that they had labelled at them initially?
No, because simply there's just not enough tickets available at a fair price. The jump is still quite staggering. You know, someone could get a £45 ticket, but the person next to them in the stadium could have paid £3,200. It's just it was a PR stunt. I think everyone saw it that way. And you know, the labelling of 150 million ticket requests. I think the question would be, are they all humans? Because it's just it's still just a roll your eyes sort of moment from everything FIFA say at the minute.
Yeah, that's one of the questions, isn't it? You know, he talks there about the 150 million ticket requests. I mean, how does that work? That's because people are sort of going in and looking at tickets on the website, or bots are applying for a load of tickets. I mean, obviously there is only a certain amount of tickets that can be sold. Is in effect the fact that he has decided to go down the dynamic pricing route just a sort of legitimization, actually, of the fact that the demand is so very high that there are some people that will pay anything to get into one of these matches? Or is it just a way of driving up costs?
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, we have no doubt that there's demand there. And that's why our sort of stance on this has been that, you know, you can charge whatever you want for the general admission. It's the official allocations that are very problematic. We've seen the FA have announced today that the final is undersubscribed, so is the semi-final, and so is the quarter-final. The fact that those games, when the allocations are so low, there's only 4,500 tickets for the final, and the fact that that's undersubscribed from a membership of 30,000 speaks volumes. So it's the member allocations that are a major problem, and it's the ones who follow international football religiously and make it what it is throughout the 4 years, and not just at this tournament.
So what you're saying there is that basically what you predicted a month ago when you came on this programme, that less England fans would travel to the World Cup, has come true, because the ticket allocation that England fans have been given for those games have not been taken up.
Exactly, yeah. So the group games are oversubscribed slightly, but we'll see on January 13th as to what the final numbers are. That's the closing date for the applications. But the reality is the final is undersubscribed simply because of the cost. I'm not saying England are going to get to the final. It's just because we have to pay this in advance. But people are speaking, that it's so obvious as the stance that supporters have taken on this. They just can't afford those prices. So the numbers FIFA brand about are great, fantastic. You can sell the tickets to anyone that you want. But the reality is the people who should be there won't be there because they can't afford it.
And that's the real issue, isn't it? It's not going to be difficult to get bums on seats, but are they the right bums on seats? Are we now talking about a World Cup for football tourists where the genuine supporters miss out? And my question to you, Thomas, would be, how much have the FA actually done to help your protests and intervene and try and get more affordable tickets? Have they done enough, in your opinion?
I think all member associations just haven't done enough on this. There hasn't been enough public outcry on this. I think supporters feel absolutely let down on this. They feel that the FA and other FAs haven't stood up for them. And that's obviously disappointing. We hear that they've said things privately to FIFA, and that's why we saw the introduction of those cheaper tickets. But we still think that just hasn't been enough done. And alarm bells should be ringing when we're not selling out for a final. It's absolutely crazy, especially in such an accessible country. We should be worried about this, and there should be more noise made because, as I say, fans just feel completely let down.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few England top cappers. They're the ones that are expected to receive the £45 tickets. Is there enough to go round?
So again, based on the applications, that all top cappers should be satisfied for every single game. It'll actually come down a little bit. So people who have missed a couple of games will also have access to those cheaper tickets, which is obviously great. But there still isn't enough to satisfy demand. I mean, the fact that for the final, you don't even have to have ever been to an England game to get a ticket for the final. Again, from a membership of 30,000, it's just absolutely staggering.
So basically, anyone who's a member of the England Supporters Club, even if they haven't been to a game now, could go on and buy a World Cup final ticket. And if England get there, they'll get to go.
That's effectively it, yeah. So
how much is it going to cost them?
£3,119.
Exactly. Yeah, there's obviously so few of the actual cheaper tickets. The reality is it's still really expensive for those that can get one. But again, it just highlights the fact that you don't even have to have been to an England game to get a ticket for the final, which is just hard to comprehend. We know that in previous tournaments in Russia and in Qatar, the final has been undersubscribed, but I think they're different tournaments to compare to, and also the allocations were slightly bigger. But this is, it's just sort of representative of where we are in terms of the ticket prices and the allocations and just the entire World Cup story that we've had so far.
And is there a concern, Thomas, that this is going to be the norm now for tournaments moving forward? I know UEFA have said they'll keep tickets cheap for the next European Championships on home soil. Then we go, I think, to Spain, Morocco and Portugal. But if this is a sellout as far as FIFA are concerned, they're not going to reduce the price for that World Cup, are they?
Well, that's a question that I've had in my own mind is, the money that FIFA will make from this tournament, are they going to be happy to reduce that? Or are they in the next tournament, or are they just milking this tournament for all it's worth? I think it'd be really surprising to charge those prices in Spain, Morocco and Portugal. We keep hearing about the American market. Well, that's certainly not the Spanish, Portuguese or Moroccan market on football tickets. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Like I say, I think it's more just a case of milking this tournament for all it's worth.
And he has claimed that the revenues generated are going back into the game. But as FIFA revenues have risen from 7.6 billion to 13 billion, has there been an obvious improvement in the game globally? Can you see where that investment is going?
Well, this is probably something that FIFA don't shout out enough about, the work that they do in the game. We don't hear enough about it to to make a sort of judgment on that. All we know is that the money has gone up drastically. And for so few tickets, we're asking for so few tickets yet for the loyal supporters of international football to be looked after. It's a drop in the ocean when you talk about those numbers.
Yeah, Thomas, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I don't think some people realise just how much the England supporters put into going to watch their team. I think the effort, the money, the time off work, the travel costs, the hotel costs, it is such a big thing. There are people that basically have spent their whole last 4 or 5 years getting ready for this tournament, and they've got to the point where they're about to commit to going to the World Cup in the United States and beyond, and then they've realised, actually, it's so much more expensive than I ever thought it was going to be. I now can't do that trip of a lifetime that I've been planning for so long. I know so many England people that were just turning around and saying, I'm just going to get to the next World Cup. All I want to do is get to that next World Cup. It needs to be the big event for me. Because, listen, you can't spend your whole life, some people do, but you can't spend your whole life going around following your national team at World Cups and spending £20,000 every 2 summers. But if it is your life and it is what you do, then you have those milestones in your mind. I want to get to this World Cup, or I want to get around to this particular game. And when that's snatched away from you because of what looks like pure greed, that cuts hard.
I think it's really disappointing to hear from Thomas there that none of the national associations are doing enough to get
but you know why that is.
Force FIFA's hand.
You know what? They're going to
be right with the prawn sandwiches and in their hospitality.
But you know what? The
boxes,
FA can't come out and criticise FIFA. 1, because they're a member, but 2, because they're trying desperately to get the Women's World Cup here in 2035. So they're trying to convince FIFA that this is a great place to have one of the big major tournaments. They've got the European Championships in 2028, but they want to make sure that they keep FIFA on side for those reasons. So they've got to do it back channeling and without the public eye.
As I say, it's a concern about who is actually going to fill these seats, because I don't see a situation where games are going to be played in empty stadiums. I think all the seats will be taken.
Do you?
But I think it will sanitise the atmosphere, and a lot of dedicated followers are going to miss out.
I think there will be some games that don't have full stadiums. There'll be some. Like there were at the Club World Cup. If you go back to the Club World Cup, there was a situation where, because of the dynamic pricing, the tickets came right down towards the end, and there were loads of empty seats. I think you'll find that for some of the smaller group games, that might well be.
But that's where we miss out, isn't it? You know, if you're an England fan, you know that England games are going to sell out, and therefore the chances of getting cheaper tickets are remote.
You are listening to Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Serco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Next, we'll be delving into Alex Crook's transfer notebook. The big news today, Crystal Palace have agreed a £35 million deal, club record deal, for Brennan Johnson. Spurs and Palace fans, if you want to have your say on that, 03717 22 33 44.
Luke Littler has given an emphatic response, insisting he's not bothered after being booed during his win over Rob Cross.
Can I just say one thing? You guys pay for tickets and you're paying for my prize money, so thank you.
The 18-year-old speaking to our friends at Sky there, well, Jamie O'Hara has given his verdict on Littler's spat with a raucous crowd at Ali Pali.
If you boo him, you're an idiot. He's the greatest thing.
I disagree,
We're all watching darts for Luke Littler. Apart from Luke Humphreys, the only thing we're enjoying watching is Luke Littler and how good he is.
Elsewhere this morning, Serena Wiegman has been awarded an honorary damehood in the New Year's honours list. Leah Williamson, Alex Greenwood, Kira Walsh, Georgia Stanway and Ella Toone were also recognised, but Chloe Kelly was snubbed again. Rory McIlroy and Luke Donald were also left out. Now, Anthony Joshua's promoters Matchroom have confirmed the former heavyweight champion is stable and recovering in hospital following the car crash that killed 2 of his friends. AJ was pulled from the wreckage with minor injuries after the SUV he was travelling in collided with a stationary truck in Nigeria. And Forest have formally complained to the PGMOL for some of the decisions in Saturday's 2-1 defeat to City. But heading into his side's game against Everton tonight, Sean Dyche said he'd prefer not to discuss officiating.
Best refs used to not be noticed. You'd do their job, disappear, and everyone would just talk about the game. Now they're sort of part of it, and I don't know why the powers that be keep thrusting it upon them.
You can hear that one live and exclusive on the talkSPORT app.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
This Saturday, Amanda Serrano defends WBO and WBA featherweight titles against Rina Tellez in a fight of 10 3-minute rounds in Puerto Rico. Live this Saturday, it's only on DAZN. Let's get into Alex Crook's transfer notebook, and no doubt about the big story of the day. It surrounds Crystal Palace making a record transfer bid for a Tottenham player.
Yeah, Fee agreed between the two clubs in the region of £35 million, which, as you say, would be Palace's most expensive ever acquisition. My understanding is that Brennan Johnson will spend the next 48 hours or so weighing up whether he wants to make that move. We know that Bournemouth are one of the clubs also tracking Johnson, Everton as well, according to my colleague Ben Jacobs. But this move would seem to make a lot of sense for Brennan Johnson, wouldn't it? The chance to play European football into the second half of the season. Geographically, it would give him the opportunity to stay in London. And I think from Palace's perspective, this is the type of statement they need to make in order to appease manager Oliver Glasner, who we expect to leave anyway at the end of the season. But obviously he's been quite public in the criticism of their lack of recruitment.
Let's get reaction from a Spurs angle. Cameron is a Spurs fan. He joins us now. Hi, Cameron.
Hello, guys. Good morning. Great show as always.
Thank you very much. What do you want to say about Brennan Johnson and the potential of him leaving to go to Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I just don't really understand it, to be honest with you. I mean, we're not particularly great up front, and he's definitely one of those players, if you're in a bit of a situation, bringing him on, or I'd definitely start him at the moment, but just I don't think you could replace him for the money they're going to get selling him for.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Tottenham have this sort of habit of buying players, not necessarily inflating their value, and then looking for replacements that are of a higher grade, but having to spend more in order to do it. And that's become a sort of an Achilles heel for them. This is a player who was the top scorer last year, scored the winning goal in a Europa League final. Why has Thomas Frank not utilised him as much as maybe Ange Postecoglou did?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've got a season ticket. I've been going for about 5 years now. I watch the games in person, a lot of them, and you look at it and you're definitely missing someone with a bit of pace and spark down the wing. I mean, Kudos, he's great, but he does hold the ball up quite a lot, and he isn't as quick as Johnson going forward. But even when you look at, you've gone and bought Tell and Odebert and stuff like that, similar sort of money for what they're going to sell him for, I'd say Johnson's a better player. But it's just like Frank doesn't like him or got something against him, I think.
A lot of Tottenham fans don't seem to, particularly warm to Brennan Johnson either, considering the number of goals that he scored last year and his role in that European win. Why is that?
I couldn't tell you, to be completely honest with you, but it's a really hard one. I mean, I think the atmosphere at the ground these days isn't great, I won't lie to you. It's not brilliant at the minute. There's a lot of empty seats, but last year probably didn't get the praise he deserved just because of the situation in the league and stuff like that. And I think other than the Europa League final, everyone was pretty wound up with the situation, but he's the only one without him last year who probably would have got relegated, so...
Yeah, listen, he was a major contributor, and having done so much on that Europa League tour last year with you and your supporters, I saw him and his family so desperate for him to do well at Tottenham Hotspur. But look, obviously he walks away having scored the goal that made history for Tottenham, but at the same time, you just wonder whether or not there was a little bit more to come. Mick is a Spurs fan. What do you think about the possibility of Brennan Johnson leaving for Crystal Palace for 35 million quid?
I like Brennan. I think he's a decent player. I think people get frustrated with him with the amount of chances he does miss. But he has got that knack of turning up and scoring goals. Now, albeit, if we was to keep him, I'd be happy. But if he's sold and the fee is put to a player that will upgrade, then cool. But Thomas has got to be given time to get rid of the players that he doesn't want now and get the ones in that he does. But our recruitment has been very, very poor. When we spend big money on players, they flop. Our best transfers have come from moderate fees that we've paid for them. Now, whatever happens with Brennan, we'll always be great for him because how salty Senor is right next to you still hasn't left his head about Bilbao.
I know.
It never will leave my head.
That Brennan Johnson goal's living rent-free in that brain. Don't you worry about that.
Every day, and it's lovely to hear. I mean, Ange probably just said, come on, lads, it's United, and that was enough.
I'm not going to rise to that. What I would say,
Come on.
Listen,
Back if you've got a little bit about you.
What I was going to say is I think Brennan Johnson, you can cherish what he did for you as a Tottenham fan, but I think you can also use it as a stick to beat Spurs with their recent recruitment because they probably paid over the odds for him, did they not?
Yeah, we probably did. But again, as I've said, when we spent big money, we've wasted it. But hopefully now... But I don't think Frank's got anything against him because, like Archie Gray, he wanted him at Brentford. So he must rate the player, surely.
I think that's a bit of revisionism, actually. I think how much did they pay for him? 40 million quid, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he was well sought after at the time, if I remember rightly. He was at Nottingham Forest. He was scoring goals. He was part of a Nottingham Forest team that were doing very, very well. And they saw him as a young little talent who could come in and really push them on. And actually, he's top scorer last season. You can't complain too much about 17th. That. And won the Europa League, and he scored the winning goal.
Did he or did Luke Shaw score the own goal?
In Bilbao against Manchester United, if I remember rightly. Mick, thank you very much. Appreciate that. 03717 223344. Also in the transfer notebook today, the Sports Bar host Jamie O'Hara has been talking a little bit about Antoine Semenyo. He thinks that if Manchester City get their hands on him, it's a game changer.
Outside the top six, I think he's the best player in the Premier League. If you're talking about players outside the top six, I think he's the best player. So for Man City to go and get him, I think it makes them favourites for the title. I thought they were favourites anyway, but I think signing him is a huge statement to the Premier League because it's saying to Liverpool, we can get a player over the line instead of you. He wants to come to us. And I think Arsenal will, they'll look at it and go, good signing that. It's a big sign.
Best player outside the top six, better than Anthony Gordon, better than Jack Grealish.
On recent form in terms of numbers, and we mentioned Anthony Gordon yesterday struggling to put numbers on the board, and Grealish started well enough at Everton, but not sure he's really backed it up. Yeah, I think Jamie's got a point, and I'm fascinated to see how Semenyo copes with the step up because City have got a recent history of signing good players from Premier League clubs and it not quite working out. Calvin Phillips is still on their books, for example, but I think he's got the right attitude and the right fortitude to go there and be a real success. And there is a little quirk, isn't there? We're expecting him to play for Bournemouth tonight, and what probably will be his last game in a Bournemouth shirt.
The transfer won't go through quick enough.
And then he could. He could
happen.
Play against Chelsea again this weekend for Manchester City.
It won't happen.
Has that ever happened in Premier League history where a player has What, a player has played back-to-back games against the same club for two different teams?
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's not going to happen anyway. Don't worry about it, because it won't go through that
Well,
quickly.
I was told yesterday by sources down on the Dorset coast, they were expecting real movement in the next 48 hours.
But even if the transfer window doesn't open until the 1st, which is Thursday, right? Manchester City got a game that night, right? Then they've got to get the deal done. Yeah. He's got to get up there, do the medical, sign the papers before midday on Friday
from the stands
in order to be able to play on Sunday. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, they're not going to put him in the team straight away anyway.
No, fair point.
All right?
Well, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
Calm yourself down. You just wanted a little headline there.
But I think it could be a good signing for
You just like the little banner there, didn't you? You like the idea of the little back page, Semenyo twice in a week down in Chelsea. I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to put it in my head ahead of tonight.
I think he'll score tonight, Semenyo.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a shock. Bournemouth's top scorer might score a goal. Well done. This is talkSPORT. You're listening to the Transfer Notebook with talkSPORT and Intuit QuickBooks.
Transfer window. Breaking news on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
It's Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Next, we're going to look ahead to tonight's 6 Premier League games, which are all exclusively live across the talkSPORT network.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Yes, and talkSPORT is already looking forward to an exciting year in 2026. We've got the World Cup, we've got all of the conclusions of the Premier League, the Championship, the playoffs, and of course, the Europa League, the Conference League as well, and the Champions League. But we're also giving you the chance to walk away with £26,000. How do you win it? Well, you just text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard message rate. You can also call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 p.m. on Friday, the 9th of January 2026. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. It's for UK residents only, 18 plus. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's are available at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Good luck. And tonight is the Premier League, and talkSPORT is the Premier League.
Football doesn't stop for the holidays, and neither do we.
Okay.
Did we expect anything less? This is the Premier League.
Join us as you polish off the leftover pigs and blankets as talkSPORT brings you a festive feast of Premier League action.
This is the biggest league, the hardest league in the world, and it shows.
We are the only place on national radio where you can get all 10 Premier League match commentary between the 30th of December and the 1st of January.
Good drop to Gehi with a corner!
New year, same drama, wall-to-wall action as it happens.
Ekitike racing towards goal. Oh, what a finish!
Every kick, every goal, every game, all in one place, only on talkSPORT.
And it's rifled in by Buendia! This is the Premier League. This is talkSPORT.
And tonight we've got Arsenal against Aston Villa exclusively live from 8:15. Before that, Chelsea against Bournemouth kicks off at 7:30. That's on Talk. In fact, if you download the app and you go to live matches, press the button in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll be able to access every single live match from tonight's game. You've got commentary on all of them. Ian Danter and Chelsea hero Scott Minto doing the commentary on Chelsea-Bournemouth tonight. The Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca has been searching for the reasons why his side has lost a league-high 11 points from winning positions at home this season. Well, I hope he is.
It's in this moment, it's difficult to analyze because we need to understand again why when we concede a goal we struggle to manage a little bit the game in a better way. Experience or can be that we need to analyze and we need to understand that. Again, it's something that is not the first time that happened, and when we concede a goal, even if we are winning and we concede a goal, we struggle a little bit with the management of the game, and it's something that for sure we need to improve.
Yeah, that comes down to a little bit of experience, as he was saying, but that's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. But the fact that it's happened so often, 11 points from winning positions, giving that away over the course of the season is bad anyway. To do that halfway through the season in only your home games, that's a red flag, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they lack that killer instinct, Chelsea. We certainly saw that against Aston Villa when, as we've already alluded to throughout the programme, they dominated for at least the first hour of that game, didn't take their chances. I think they're still struggling in terms of a number 9 who's really going to step up and score the goals. João Pedro doesn't look like the answer. Liam Delap has had a stop-start season, so maybe that's something they're going to have to address. But also his in-game changes quite often have been costly. I remember watching the Atalanta game in the Champions League away from home for talkSPORT, and his changes had a real negative impact on the outcome of that game.
That precipitated the conversation with sporting directors, which then led to the 48-hour comment that he made just a couple of days later.
Yeah, because I think they openly questioned his decision-making during that game. So, as you've said time and again, this is a very youthful Chelsea team, a very naive Chelsea team, and I think we're still seeing quite a naive manager as well. They have to win tonight, Chelsea. When you look at Bournemouth, no wins in the last 9. It's not been a great December for Chelsea. Certainly not been great since Maresca made those comments. If they don't beat this Bournemouth team, we've got a lot of players out injured, he'll be right under pressure.
Well, there was a few little whispers last night, and I sent them to you last evening about the possibility of what happens if they were to lose tonight. And you know, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be removed, but I think there will be tensions and there will be pressure if Chelsea's results don't pick up very, very shortly. How much pressure is Eddie Howe under tonight? They take on Burnley away from home. It's an Eddie Howe derby, in a sense. He managed them for 77 league games.
Yeah, we forget about that particular moment in his career and on his CV. Listen, I don't think there's any pressure from the hierarchy. I think there is some pressure from a section of Newcastle supporters, not necessarily the match-going ones, because I think
he puts pressure on himself as well. By the way,
of course, he'll be very disappointed with that away form, because at home they've been brilliant. Only lost 3 times there all season, and to some big clubs. But away from home, they're too easy to play against. That they lack a bit of creative spark, and this is not going to be straightforward, because Burnley, as much as I think they are heading down and they're not in a great run of form, they're not the pushover they maybe were under Vincent Kompany when they were last in the Premier League. They've got a bit more about them defensively. They do pose a goal threat potentially. So Newcastle are going to have to be more at it. And again, I think this is a game they really need to win, because otherwise all the momentum you build up by winning your home games is just evaporating if you can't do it on the road as well.
Obviously, you talk about things not being straightforward. I don't think West Ham Brighton is going to be straightforward for Nuno Espirito Santo. West Ham have never beaten Brighton at home in the Premier League. Is there any chance they might do that tonight?
6 wins, 2 draws for Brighton from the previous 8 visits. I really fancy Brighton. Listen, I don't think they're having a brilliant season. They feel to me a team that are treading water a bit as well. But the atmosphere there is going to be toxic again, and I think Brighton can really capitalise on that. I'd expect Danny Welbeck, who came on at the Emirates at the weekend, to start, and I can only see more pain for West Ham, to be honest.
And Nottingham Forest against Everton, 7:30 kickoff. We've got commentary on the talkSPORT app of that one. Nottingham Forest have won 6, lost 4, and of the last 10 in all competitions. It's almost sort of yin and yang for Sean Dyche and his team. But actually, Everton haven't won a game since they beat Forest at home 3 matches to go. In fact, they haven't scored a goal since the 6th of December and their last game against Nottingham Forest. Could this be the antidote, or is this a game that Nottingham Forest will see as ripe for the picking?
I would make Forest favourites in what I would predict would be a low-scoring affair. I feel a bit for David Moyes, because I was at the game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge when they had
players.
They had enough moments in that game to get something from it, but they lost Dewsbury Hall. They've lost Jack Grealish, obviously, with illness. You would expect he will be back tonight. They've lost players to AFCON, so it's probably a good time to play Everton. I think if you gave them a 0-0 right now, he'd take it. They need a forward in the transfer window. I mean, I've christened Barry and Beto the Chuckle Brothers. They're just not going to score in the Premier League.
Well, look, the evidence is there before your eyes, and so are the statistics. They don't score enough goals. That's a major issue. And when you take Dewsbury Hall out of them, and Dewsbury Hall scored a few good goals. Actually, Jack Grealish hasn't really contributed an assist or a goal for a little while now either, and that's started to dry up. That's a bit of an issue. Celtic and Rangers play their games in hand on Hearts tonight. Rangers against St Mirren and Motherwell against Celtic. We'll follow that as well during our games this evening. We're on air from 7 o'clock. From the Emirates Stadium. Adrian Durham will be alongside me as we take you round the grounds, but also bring you live and exclusive national radio commentary of Arsenal against Aston Villa. And then we're going to come back tomorrow and see if Crook was right with all of his big predictions for the midweek round of games. And we'll be here at 10 o'clock, won't we?
We will. Let's look forward to it, hopefully.
Crook's got a really busy night tonight. He's doing Chelsea, aren't you?
Yeah.
And going to the pub before and after?
Scott Minto's got some plans for afterwards, as always, I think, so I'll probably get swept along by those.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay. Well, you try and be good, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Nice to see you. Charlie Baker and Danny Kelly are up next.